Good morning, good morning, good morning. The day is finally here, y'all. It's back for Broken Summit time, and we are super excited to have this opportunity and be able to bring this to you guys all across the globe. And so we're going to get 2 days of amazingness started off here, and we're a few moments away from actual other presenters. But I thought, a good thing to probably do as we began to get into this 2 days extravaganza, this 2 day elevation party, this 2 day time together to be able to be introduced to that higher version of yourself is maybe have just a little bit of context. And so we're going to play just a little something that might just do the trick. So give me a second here. Let me just grab this, and we're going to do a little exploration into the past, if you will. Here we go.
I journeyed to the front door of hell. It was filled with depression, betrayal, frustration, abandonment, disappointments, and resentments. My life was over. All I wanted to do was die. I made a conscious effort to destroy myself and anyone in my life who cared for me. I lost everything: my job, my wife, my children, anything of any substance or value to my demons. This is my story, Back from Broken. The thing that inspired me to write Back from Broken was reflection on my personal journey, as well as the desire to actually help other people navigate through transition, regardless of whether it's substance abuse, spousal abuse, divorce, just basically to help people understand that going through a particular issue doesn't have to be done by themselves. I didn't discover what the disease of addiction really was until I took about a 2-year break away from life in general and had the opportunity to really dig into, one, why was I doing drugs, which was a byproduct of a much bigger problem. I had no clue that it was actually a disease. I lost everything. I mean, absolutely everything. I lost my family. I lost my self-respect. I lost everything. I lost everything. Trinity House is a tough program for tough times, for people with addiction and homelessness issues. Trinity House is a place that is very confrontational. It's not your typical saunter in and just, hey, I'm here for treatment. You have to really prove that you want to be here. It's almost like a fraternity, if you will. Certainly not something that is taken lightly. It's a lifestyle change. There were so many benefits to graduating from the Trinity House program. First of all, I was able to take a step back from life and realize what was really important to me. I was really able to get a real grounding and an understanding of my own choosing. Even from a very basic spiritual level, I was able to take on and pursue an understanding of a God of my understanding, not my mom's or my grandmom's. So, I mean, the benefits are vast. I could go on, but I think the biggest thing is I actually got to know me. That was the biggest benefit out of going through Trinity House. Tips Academy was derived out of the desire to want to own my own business, but I also wanted to make a difference. And TIPS basically stands for Training Important People to Soar, where we believe that everybody's important, regardless of race, color, creed, occupation, specialty in life. We believe that everybody has a gift on this planet, and we try to nurture that in our clients, nurture that in our sponsorship, nurture that in our internal contractors. It's a culture, and TIPS Academy, is really geared toward being involved in the community, providing a service to individuals to help them realize and maximize the purpose for which they were on this planet. TIPS Academy is different from Trinity House in the sense that, first of all, TIPS Academy is trying to take on some more modern day approaches to the Trinity House mission. The mission is the same, but the approach and the tactics that we use are very different. I think that we have a lot of similarities, but TIPS Academy is going to be organically grown. It leverages a lot of the teachings from Trinity House, but we're also taking things to the next level, trying to become more in tune with the mindsets of millennials, trying to look at that next generation and offer them some hope and some insight where they're at, which is very different than the era in which the Trinity House was developed. The game ain't over. Don't let where you're at right this moment be where you end up. There's a favorite saying that I have: to whom much is given, much is required. And by virtue of the fact that you're still standing, there's hope. So don't give up on yourself, because I'm not going to give up on you, and I'm going to love you until you learn how to love yourself. Connect with me. Let's take this journey together, and let's bring you back.
So that, ladies and gentlemen, might help if I unmute myself, huh? So that was the 2014 version. And hold on one second. Hello?
Hey, he didn't answer.
Yeah, he ain't answered. Could you please keep calling, because there's people in the clubhouse and we are live. All right, bye. Okay, so the devil is a liar. He is attempting to interrupt the major planning that is going on, but we are not having it. We are not having it, y'all. And so we just wanted to give you a quick glimpse of, the 2014 version. Of course, that was 7 years ago when we first launched. And the really interesting thing about the Back from Broken original version is it never was even supposed to be a book. So for those of you that may not know the entire backstory, you got a little bit of glimpse that maybe I had a few bumps in the road as I was going through this thing, and really had some challenges with depression, with traumas in my early childhood that I hadn't dealt with. And so it was a battle. I took that madness into my adolescence, took that madness into my adulthood, really destroyed some stuff. And, I don't know if anybody else has any types of trauma. Prayerfully, it was not drug addiction, but I'm quite sure there's a person or two that may tune into this broadcast. My returning citizen and recovering addict nation should be tuning in. And so I'm quite sure that there's some people that have traveled a similar path, and that have a few clues as to what may have happened along that journey. But here's what we're going to do. What we've decided is that as we've added a few more chapters, as we've gotten a little more wisdom, as we have developed a much more intense calling from on high, that we're going to go even harder in the paint to make sure that we can actually provide, hopefully, a pathway, a roadmap, if you will, to re-entry, recovery, redemption, restoration, and revelation, so that we can be able to impart wisdom upon those that might be battling with those different demons from their youth, those demons that may have happened in their adolescence. And some of us, we may have even had some traumatic stuff take place within our adulthood. And so what we know is that when we are able to know that other people can relate to what's going on with us, it's oftentimes a tad bit easier to be able to navigate that road when you know you got somebody alongside you. One of my favorite African proverbs says, if you want to go fast, well, go ahead and go boogie on down the road by yourself. The African proverb didn't exactly say it, but it said, if you want to go far, you're going to have to go with a team. And so as we look at what does this whole roadmap of Back from Broken look like, where are you on your respective pathway or your roadmap, as it may be? Because see, the reason we intentionally chose the word roadmap instead of GPS, that technological thing that's just made a lot of us lazy. People are trying to give me landmarks and try and tell me, well, turn at the chicken coop and make a left turn when you get to the cows that's out. I'm like, No. Can I get an address, please? Is there anybody else that just like don't be giving me landmarks? Just give me a direct address. I'm gonna pop it into my GPS. Well, the distinct difference between a GPS and a roadmap is a roadmap. You really have to pay attention. You really have to pay attention, and there may be numerous paths that you will visually see that might still end up getting you to your destination. And because of the diversity of the different things that each and every one of us may have encountered or experienced, we thought it was important to make sure that we, try to really, really speak to the needs of the people. And so with that, we have put the Back from Broken movement 2021 together, and it kind of launched a couple of months ago in Clubhouse. So if you are actually on Clubhouse, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday night, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, we have the Coming Back from Setback Room. And honest to goodness, that's how this whole summit started. Now, the movement was in motion, and there were some steps and some planning things being done. But honest to goodness, I'm going to be totally butt naked honest with you guys. This summit is blessed by God, because literally it started with a simple question of, if we were to happen to do a summit, would you be interested? And a few hands went up in the room. But don't you know, the next morning, this young lady, she slides up into my DM by the name of Sherry Cook. And she said, Dr. Ed, we need to do this, right? I'm like, do what? She says, boy, quit playing, the summit. I'm like, so I'm thinking, because I'm trying to get a little gooder and not being hasty in my responses these days. She said, boy, I'm going to help you. I'm like, doggone it. She done took the procrastination factor away. And true to be told, she has been an absolute godsend to be able to come alongside, along with about 4 or 5 other people, to really make this summit happen. And so a lot of blood, sweat, tears, energy, prayers have gone into this. So we hope that you guys really, really are going to get some amazing, amazing actionable items that you can walk away with, and also maybe perhaps even hear a tad bit of your story, or maybe the exact thing, just at a different time in a different place. So that being said, I want to go ahead and share with you guys, what is the actual Back from Broken movement? And then we're going to do a couple of other things. Our actual lineup is going to start about 8 p.m., not p.m., 8 a.m. 8 a.m. And I think something must have happened to our engineer, because we should be chiming into Clubhouse as well, but that doesn't seem to be happening just yet, but it will be before the day is over. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and give you guys a quick glimpse at the current day 2021 vision of what the Back from Broken movement actually is about, what we're attempting to achieve, and how perhaps you could even get involved in that process.
Welcome to the Back from Broken Nation. And if you've been watching and wondering, what is it that might be able to take me to that next version of myself? Well, tell you what, you are in the right place, because the roadmap to recovery, redemption, and restoration awaits you. What does that mean? How does that going to make a difference in the life that you've been living? If you know, like I know, there have been different times along this journey where perhaps I may have felt as though the shame, the guilt, the doubt that I have been carrying for years was something that I would never be able to get beyond, never be able to share openly, never get to a place where there was actually some constructive purpose in all that pain that had taken place. So here's the great news for you. As we proceed along this next several weeks, we're going to be having topics that will allow us to interactively unpack the pain, the purpose, and the propelling things that will allow you to go from that place of despair, that place of being counted out, that place of being overlooked, and get to a place where you now begin to fully realize that the inner me has been your enemy. that inner me has been your enemy. And we're going to walk side by side and enable you to get beyond that pain of those traumatic situations that may have taken place in your life. And that's a myriad of things that we might be covering. But as we go through our constructive, informative, and enlightening content, I guarantee you that if you hang out with us, you are going to begin to see results almost immediately. Now, let me be clear. I don't want to make any promises that I can't keep. In fact, I'm not going to even make any suggestions to you that either myself or my guests have not done. I make it a point to vet them up front to ensure that they have proof of the things that they're going to share with us so that we don't get a bunch of hype, a bunch of mystical, mysterious things that might work, but might not work. No, we're going to have people that come to you that have proven track records, proven methodologies, proven techniques that are going to make it easy for you to realize that recovery, redemption, and restoration is just a matter of you paying attention, you being willing to do the work, and you also being able to get to a place of open honesty with the most important person on the planet, which is you. If you've been that person that's been looking to your left, looking to your right, wondering about, well, oh my God, what are they going to say? Oh, how are they going to respond? Well, newsflash. One of the key things that I picked up on my journey is other people's opinion is not your business. If you're willing to address the inner me, stop pointing fingers at everybody else. Stop thinking about how is it that the views, the opinions, the suggestions from those outside of you who have never walked in your shoes are thinking, interacting, and conversing about. Now is your time. With the Back from Broken Nation, I guarantee that if you are willing to tune in every single week for our episodes, take copious notes, because we guarantee we're going to actually be providing you with some things that you want to be able to go back and revisit. Things that you might want to tuck away into your little smartphone, perhaps even pick up an audio that you can listen to on the way to work, while you're working out. We're going to make it easy for you and make certain that the information that we share is provided to you in multiple mediums, easy access, however it is that you best consume that life-changing content that's going to enable you to realize recovery, redemption, and restoration if you're willing to win. And I promise you this, if you are willing to tune in every single week to this channel, to be able to get the insight, the guidance, the wisdom, make comments, and also make sure that we are held accountable to the things that we share, we want to invite your suggested topics so that we make certain that we are spot on with the things that you need in order to propel to that next higher version of yourself. One of my mentors say, don't let what you want to say get in the way of what the people need to hear. And I'm 100% committed to that. And I guarantee that as we move through this journey, if there's something that's not quite working to the expectations of our customers, then we're going to make the adjustments necessary to ensure that the time you spend with us is maximized. The time that you spend with us is getting you results. The time that you spend with us is something that you will never, ever regret. So I tell you what, I can't wait to see you on the inside of all of our respective programming. And as always, I'd be remiss if I didn't leave you with this. Good, better, best, we can't let it rest until our good is our better and our better is our best. And if you will commit to do the work, tune in regularly, and make certain that you are up for the task of Back from Broken Nation, boy, stop. We might just see you at the top because the bottom's entirely too crowded. It's your man, Dr. Ed, and I can't wait to see you on the inside.
All right, all right. So there you have a little glimpse of the 2021 vision of Back from Broken. And so we are just definitely committed to making sure that we provide to you guys substance, that we provide to you guys insight, not just merely from myself. And I'm so grateful that the growth of the nation is accelerating. That's right. The Back from Broken Nation actually has a public group where you too, aside from Clubhouse, because we've been very intentional about developing a community. So not only on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday nights at 8 p.m. and typically we start at 8, But the end time all depends on what's happening in the room, who needs help, what type of content that we're sharing and how engaging it is. And we even have a number of people that are on in the Facebook group that leading up to this summit have been helping each other out, developing relationships. And now that COVID is starting to try and kind of calm down just a little bit, we're actually starting to make some face-to-face connections, one of which you guys will get to see today right here in the Back from Broken Studios. We're going to actually share with you a couple of segments from the Back from Broken TV show before we get to the top of the hour and start to go live. So if you have friends, family members that you feel might be able to resonate with that level setting that you just received, with the whole, what is the 2021 vision of Back from Broken? It's not too late. And guess what? The best part of all is that the cost is free. But I got a little news flash for you. There could be a cost if somebody you know that needs to have the help that's being put down these next 2 days and they don't get it. They could be on the brink of taking that last breath. They could be on the brink of taking their own life. They could be on the brink of taking somebody else's life. And sometimes a kind word, an encouraging word, a word of, yeah, you know what? I get it, might just stop them from doing something that they'll regret in their future, if they have one after they do whatever the next step is. So I want to employ upon you to please go ahead and share this with your respective tribes. And actually make sure that, you know, if you can, hang out with us, because we've got a jam-packed day of live presentations as well as post-show interviews. So we'll get an up-close opportunity to actually ask some questions of the speakers after they give their presentations. And so, again, I just want to publicly applaud the amazing team that has helped to pull this off, because God knows I would not have been able to do this by myself. There ain't no way. And so want to make sure that you guys are aware of who they are. So again, the catalyst behind this whole thing happening, because she slid up in my DM to my Dr. Ed, you know, we need to do this. The amazing Sister Queen Sherry Cook, Sister Queen Marla Brennan out of Canada, Joseph B. Washington right here out of the ATL, my ride or die brother, Dr. John L. Mack, and also, see, I'm about to forget somebody. I got Sherry, I got Marla. Oh, our engineer, Sean, the man behind the controls, Sean Dustin from Nowhere to Go But Up, y'all. And so without them, this definitely would not be as awesome as we anticipate it's going to be for each and every one that attends, both the speakers as well as the participants. So what we want to do right now is we get ready to make sure we got all of our shows queued up. We're going to actually share with you an episode from one of our featured speakers that we did on Back from Broken TV. And if you've ever been in the Clubhouse room, you've heard him before. But if you haven't, brace yourself. And I suggest that you get a pen, a paper, or your favorite digital tool of recording, because we're going to drop a little something that you might not be expecting during this episode of Back from Broken TV. And so you'll want to make sure, again, to add a few friends. For those people that are over in Clubhouse, we see you. Let me do a quick acknowledgement just so they know we ain't playing with this multicast. Good morning, Chris, Jesse, Shalia, Tanya, Amanda, Patrick. I see you over in Clubhouse. And periodically, you've already got a few of our featured speakers hanging out with you right now. The amazing Queen Nick Keys. You also got the wonderful Marla B hanging out in Clubhouse, holding it down. And Dr. John L. Mack just popped up over there. I believe Joe B. Washington might be popping by. So all throughout the day, we're going to be going back and forth. And if you would like to have the live experience on Facebook or YouTube, you can pop on over here as well. Make sure you register. Go to backfrombrokensummit.com. I'm pretty sure the moderators have already reminded you of that. And for those of you that are out there, you should have gotten an email this morning that's got a link or a couple of links in it as well. So we've made it pretty easy, we think, to be able to share this to as many people as easily as possible so that we can have maximum coverage. Because if you know, like I know, we all are hurting right now. Whether it be drugs, whether it be some sort of abuse, whether it just be simply the fallout from COVID-19. It's been a tough year plus, guys, for the entire planet. And so we are just super excited to be able to be a vehicle, a vessel, if you will, to be able to add to the possibilities and the hope that you may have as you go forward in your journey. So tell you what, give me just a couple seconds here. We're going to pull up this episode of Back from Broken TV, which airs every Wednesday at 12 noon, y'all, every Wednesday at 12 noon. And so please share. Make sure you're commenting down below if there's some great things that you see or hear. Don't be shy. Don't be bashful. Go ahead and drop it in the comments. We've got moderators all over the place that are looking out. And so we'll definitely be getting to you real quick. So tell you what, here we go, guys.
I journeyed to the front door of hell. It was filled with depression, betrayal, frustration, abandonment, disappointments, and resentments. My life was over. All I wanted to do was die. I made a conscious effort to destroy myself and anyone in my life who cared for me. I lost everything: my job, my wife, my children, anything of any substance or value to my demons. This is my story, Back from Broken.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you might be on the planet. Welcome back for yet another episode of Back from Broken TV, y'all. And our episode today is being brought to you by Lean On Him Consulting and Life Music. We also have the plum pleasing pleasure to announce yet another sponsor that is on board, and that is AMG Investment Group. I tell you, y'all better get on board with this train as it is leaving the station, because it is moving and moving fast. And why do I say that? Because you all that are part of the Back from Broken Nation are truly showing out. You're showing up in the comments. You're showing up in the Facebook groups. You're showing up on the YouTube channel. You just flat out showing up and realizing the higher version of yourselves. You know, I am just so super duper plummet pleased excited about what is taking place and the feedback that is coming from those of you that tune in every week to our respective channels. Our social media groups are expressing how this broadcast and this movement as a whole is making a positive difference. And I tried to told you at the very top, the programming that we're going to have is going to be inclusive of amazing individuals that are going to be able to pour into you, but also give you immediate, actionable steps that will lead to transformation that might just introduce you to the higher version of yourself. So excited about all of the things that are going on. And as I oftentimes say, if you're willing to put in the work and you make the commitment to go through the process, you know, you got to bake it, don't microwave it. It's just not going to slap your fingers. You're not going to just simply push a button. But when you commit to the process, what I know is this, that there will be things that will challenge you. What I know is this, is that there are going to be moments where you might even want to throw in the towel. What I know is this, is that as you begin to actually start to see the results, it's going to further encourage you. And some of those limiting beliefs, some of those things that you thought you just weren't capable of doing are going to evaporate. I'm talking about straight up like, poof, holla, see you, gone. And so we are just super excited, not only to have additional sponsors on board, but I also told you guys I'm going to be bringing some amazing guests before you. And the list is just growing. I got people in line waiting to come share and pour into each and every one of you that is attached to the Back from Broken Nation. And so today we are so honored and so humbled to have with us none other than Joseph B. Washington, the man with the plan that will enable you to let average, go. That's our topic for today. And so I'm gonna go ahead and warn you before we go into our sponsor segment and let their commercials roll for a moment or two so that you can see some of the services that are available to you as you travel along this roadmap to recovery, redemption, and restoration. We got a couple of tools for you. We got definite insight and, again, actionable items that you can take right away that will introduce you to the higher version of yourself. So tell you what, grab your pen, your paper, your favorite digital tool of recording so that when we come back from this commercial break, you are set, jet, and ready to roll with us. Because I promise you, the brother that I'm bringing to you today, Brother Joseph B. Washington, and as we chop it up on the topic of let average go, it's going to provide a paradigm shift. For others, it's going to propel you. For others, it's just going to pour gasoline onto what you already got going as you move toward that higher version of yourself. So tell you what, sit tight for just a couple of moments. We'll be right back after this commercial message here on Back from Broken TV.
What does it mean to dominate? It's defined as to have commanding influence on or to exercise control over. Let me ask you this, when I read that, does it make you feel uncomfortable when I say that word? Well, I've got news for you. You were meant to dominate. Yeah, that's right, I said it. But not over other people. Dominate the old you that says you're not skilled enough. Dominate the old you that says I'm too afraid of success. It's time to dominate today. We invite you to join our series of trainings designed to help powerful entrepreneurs just like you. Whether it's business development, branding, real estate, book publishing, or whatever the case may be, we've got you covered. Listen, don't put off another 6 months what you know you should do today. See you soon.
So welcome back. Hopefully you all have your pens, so your paper, your digital tool of recording, because I am just super excited to introduce to some of you and to reacquaint others of you to my main man, Brother Joseph B. Washington. What's up, bro?
Good to be here, man.
Man, you have no idea. This thing is, when I was thinking about who do I want to bring on next? And how can we bless the nation in a way that is going to be transformative? And you came top of mind, bro.
Sure, I appreciate it.
Top of mind. And so today we're going to talk about let average go. And when I was first introduced to the concept, I always had a kind of a notion, and I'm always going hard in the paint. But this brother right here who has traveled the globe, sharing this message. He's been to a number of different places. Now I'm actually gonna make him tell you all that. I dare not attempt to try and introduce him sitting right next to him, because he might be like, bro, that's all you got. And I like to go hard to paint. So I'm gonna let him tell him a little bit about himself, and then we're gonna get into the topic of let average go. So Brother Joe, man, tell the Back from Broken listeners a little bit about who is Joe B. Washington.
Yeah, man, I love telling this story. As I've said oftentimes, I grew up with a severe speech impediment. And Yeah, man, in my neighborhood, they called me the woo-woo boy. So they would have my brother bring me out to the middle of the street and they would ask me a series of questions, and I would start stuttering. I would hear things like, man, your brother's stupid, man, he dumb. My aunt actually told my mother to stop bringing me to the family reunion because I embarrassed everybody. And around the age of 8, man, I ran into the house and I told my mother, I said, it's true. She said, what's true? I said, I'm stupid and I'm dumb. And
wow.
My mother said something to me, Doc, that literally changed my life. That only a mother could say to her 8-year-old son. She said, Joseph, you're neither stupid or dumb. She said, it's just that your brain and your mouth ain't caught each other. We're going to get them to catch each other.
Okay.
And for the next 9 years, my mother and I went on a roller coaster ride, man, to teach me how to articulate, how to enunciate. By the time I was a senior in high school in San Diego, I was actually on San Diego State University's college debate team as a high school senior.
Hold on, Joe. I hate to disrupt. So you went from a speech impediment,
severe speech impediment and a stutter.
to being on a debate team?
Being on Ritalin, they had me on Ritalin as well, you know, trying to keep me calm because they said I was hyperactive. They really didn't know how to diagnose it. You know, this was back in the 70s. And so between the Ritalin, the stutter, the speech impediment, you know, there was definitely some major issues there.
And so as a result of having been tenacious, persevering, and getting to beyond what some may have legitimately called a game stopper, you propelled yourself well beyond the debate team and got to speak at some of the most amazing places on the planet. So why don't you share with the Back from Broken Nation, for some of you that might be wondering, or might even be struggling with something similar. It may not be a speech impediment. It may be something else. And I dare not attempt to try and put a label on each and everything, but trauma in general is trauma.
Yeah.
And having a speech impediment, that's a trauma. And so it has some psychological things that go along with it that you can work through. But I want to get to, where were some of the different places after you overcame that obstacle? Where were some of the places that your ability to speak so well have taken you?
Yeah, you know, I started in elementary school, you know, just speaking to little elementary school kids, man. And, you know, then I progressed to middle school, high school. I got my first opportunity with Clorox.
Okay.
Young lady I went to church with was one of the executives at the Clorox Corporation. And she said, you know, I've heard you teach here at church, but do you do any corporate training? And I said, yes, I do, which I hadn't at the time.
Wow. Okay, so what made you say yes, you do?
Because I remembered the words carpe diem. I was willing to seize the moment.
Okay.
And I was going to make it happen. I was going to figure it out.
Okay.
A corporate training, because I'd already had the message of Let Average Go, but I hadn't had the opportunity to speak on it or speak about it on a corporate level.
So the seed was planted.
The seed was planted.
But you hadn't actually begun to see the blossom of that seed just yet. And the Clorox was the beginning of that.
And I planted the seed with the elementary school kids. I said, if I can be faithful over that, then God moved me to the middle school. And then I started doing high school kids, sharing this message and those 7 principles from my book of how you go from average to awesome, from awesome to action. So when I hit Clorox, that was my first corporate gig, man. And they gave me a check for about, I think I spoke about an hour, 15 minutes.
Okay.
They gave me a check for $3,000. And
hello.
Yeah, and I was like, does this cash? Like, is this mine?
Is this really
like,
mine?
You get paid to do this? And the rest was history, man. I just started to embark upon this this passion of mine, man, to see people change through through words. I'm a wannabe etymologist, man. I love the origin of words. I love where they come from. And so I wanted to change people through what was on the inside of me that had been locked up for so many years. That I hadn't spoken about it, you know. And so I did corporate, and then I, you know, had the great opportunity to be a keynote speaker at the Essence Festival in New Orleans. So Walmart brought me on. They were the 2009, they were the corporate sponsors for Essence that year.
Okay.
Built the stage and where the main room was. And I spoke there, man. And then, of course, you know, I did the White House with President Obama in 2010. And there's a video I have on YouTube for all the haters. They used to call me the woo-woo boy. I said, let me do this one for y'all, man.
For the woo-woo
boy. Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Like I said, when they call me the woo-woo boy, you know, I tell people all the time, my woo-woo was the speech impediment, you know, the stutter, you know, and maybe other people's, you know, woo-woo is betrayal or failed marriage or failed relationship. You know, for some it's molestation, whatever it may be. We all have a different woo-woo.
We all have a different
but we
woo-woo.
overcome that woo-woo. And in fact, I hadn't even told you yet, but I'm going to start a whole t-shirt series on the word woo-woo. Because that was that woo-woo was a powerful word. Even though they called me that, it was my deliverance.
Hold on. So I'm reminded of something in our favorite book, the #1 undisputed bestseller. It says those things that were created for bad, God will turn them out for your good.
That's right.
I'm paraphrasing. He's the minister, not me.
Yeah.
But you know what, brother? When we come back from this commercial message, because we got to pay the bills. But when we come back from this commercial message, I want you to just really unpack that Let Average Go.
Sure.
As you typically would if you were in an amazing setting.
Sure.
And so you guys out there, again, we are just super, super excited that you're tuned in. But more importantly, we're so excited to be able to provide you with the tools, the strategies, the techniques to enable you to be introduced to that next higher version of yourself if you're willing to do the work. We are super blessed to have this man in a place. You just heard it. His very first gig, they paid him $3,000. So you can only imagine. And that was how long ago, man? Clorox was how long ago?
That was almost 20 years ago.
So if he was getting $3,000
Yeah.
to speak then, you already know that this is a tremendous blessing that we're able to have him here on the Back from Broken TV stage. I'm so pumped up. I'm about to run around here naked, but I don't think you guys would appreciate that.
No. That's all right.
But the content that is being dropped by my brother right here already has been good, because just to quickly recap, you heard about there was a situation at the speech impediment. You heard about the fact that he had somebody in his corner that was willing to help him along the journey to push him and propel him to his next greater version of himself. And the places that he's spoken have just been phenomenal. But here's what I want to do. I want to get out of the way and let my brother enlighten you with some of his key nuggets. I'm gonna stop him if he go too far, but I'm gonna let him just give you some of his a few goodies with regard to how can you let average go. Brother Joe, the mic is yours, man.
You know, so this is the fun part for me, right? And so I just want, you know, so your audience to understand. So what I did, Doc, was I took the word average, and from each letter, I created the acronym for these 7 incredible principles that I've created. For the sake of time that we have here, we'll do the abbreviation AVG.
All right.
We'll give it to them all.
We won't give it to them all. They got to tune in
and
connect with you afterwards to get the whole good bet. That's
Absolutely.
what's up.
Absolutely.
So AVG, y'all, AVG. So put it in your notes. This is the abbreviated version of the average methodology coming to a city near you soon. But you're going to get 3 of them today. You're going to get the AVG. Go, man. Go.
Yeah. And so what people need to understand is that, you know, average is a lousy place to be. But it's a place that most people, you know, they live and they dwell there and they're comfortable there. You know, I often say this, that, you know, people feed pigeons, but they shoot eagles. Oh, you know, so they'll feed the pigeon in your life, which is the average, but the eagle, they'll shoot at it because people don't want you to break out of that spirit of average. They want you to dwell with them. You know, birds of a feather flock together.
Sure.
And so I tell people all the time, you know, when you're raised around average people who do average things, you yourself become average. And so you got to make a decision to let average go. And letting average go means probably letting some people go, because not everybody wants to go to that place of incredible, of awesome, you know, of where I'm living the life of my dreams, and my life is just full. And so I looked at this. I came up with the word average because of my speech impediment. I just do acronyms well. Like when I see words, I see visions. And so I looked at the word average and I said to myself, if I was to let average go, what would be the process? So I took the word average, each letter, and I began this journey. And it's taken me to the White House, to Israel. I spent 15 days in Israel, spoke it there in Tel Aviv, been able to travel around the world based on these 7 principles, and they'll work for any area of your life. So the AVG, the first letter, the letter A, is adopt a positive attitude. Now, I know we've heard that, you know, it's sort of cliche, adopt a positive attitude. But Doc, when I found out, if you take the word attitude, ATTITUDE, if you count each letter where it falls numerically in the alphabet, it comes out to exactly 100. So the letter A is the first letter of the alphabet. The letter T is the 20th, the next T is 20. The I is 9, the T is 20, the U is 21, the D is 4, the E is 5. Attitude comes out to exactly 100. So your attitude is 100% of your success or your failure. Put on your seatbelt. Knowledge comes out to 96. Hard work comes out to 98. So although you have tremendous knowledge and you're a hard worker, and we don't negate those skill sets, it is your attitude that's going to determine your success or your failure. Why? Because if I like you, I'm going to help you. But if I don't like you, I may not hinder you, but I will not help you. See, people think it's just my knowledge and my skill that's going to get me by. No, it's not. It's a starter, but it's your attitude. I'm on the Back from Broken, this incredible tour, because when we met, we liked each other. There was camaraderie there. Now, if you didn't like me, okay, decent dude, but it's not for me. So people got to learn this thing called likability. They've got to be willing to adopt a healthy, vibrant attitude that's going to allow them to win. So I knew that if I was going to let average go, if I was going to go from average to awesome, awesome to action, then I'd have to adopt a positive attitude.
Ooh,
that's so I live in that.
That's hard.
I didn't get to the White House because I know President Obama. I got to the White House because I was working with a school in Washington, D.C. called Drew Elementary. They had the lowest testing scores in the District of Columbia. They used my program. They tried to attribute my program being the cause of them now having the highest testing scores. I don't believe all of that. I believe because they had amazing teachers, they had amazing parents, students. Yes, my program
That got
helped.
some attention and some nurturing. Help them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Obama gets in office, invites Drew to the White House to have their graduation. Kim Davis calls me and says, Mr. Washington, we're going to the White House. The White House just called that they want us to have our graduation for the kids, the 5th grade graduating class at the White House. I said, girl, you better take a bunch of pictures. I love you all. She said, no, you don't understand. You're the keynote speaker. Mr.
Stop.
Washington.
Stop.
So that's how I got to the White House. Anybody would have took that gig.
Anybody.
But because I had that attitude,
Yes, sir.
I put that knowledge and skill to work.
Mhm.
So all three of them work toward my good. So I'm staying in the same hotel with Kanye West, Queen Latifah's there, because they're all going to the White House that day too for this
Sure.
reading and all that.
Mhm.
So attitude is so important. Of course, I have so much meat to pack on that. So that's the first key.
That's the first key, man. That I almost want to stop you right there because that was so good. I hope y'all picking up what Brother
Yeah.
Joe putting down. The V and the G. Drop it to him, man.
The V, value your time. You have to
Mm.
value your time. You know, you and I are not getting any younger, but we're getting better, right?
We're getting gooder. We're getting gooder.
We're getting gooder and gooder, right? But we've got to understand the importance of time. And I do an acronym for time, TIME. But I'll give you the one. I'll give you the M in the word time. That is, we've got to move opposite of the crowd with our time.
That's good. That's good.
You see, average people follow crowds.
Yeah.
Average breakers create them.
Okay, hold on. Do it again. No takers. No takers. Pins up. Do that one again,
Yeah.
bro.
Average people follow crowds. I've coined the phrase average breakers.
Right.
Average breakers create them.
They create them.
You see, when me and Wendy, my wife, we love movies. As you know, Friday nights.
Friday nights are off limits. Do not call the Washington residents on Friday evening. It will not be pretty.
So because of COVID, we're at home watching movies. But pre-COVID, we were at the movies every Friday night. That was our thing, right? But we didn't go on a Friday night at 9 or 10 o'clock at night. We went at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Why? Because there was no crowd.
No crowd.
We had the theater all to ourselves.
All to yourselves.
So if I wanted to give her a kiss, we wanted to play the popcorn game. We wanted to just sit there and talk loud. We could. Why? Because we moved opposite of the crowd with our time. Here in Atlanta, you know, the Cheesecake Factory, when it was booming, up in Buckhead, you can't go there at 8 o'clock at night.
No.
You're going to get a seat. They're
It's
going to give
an
you
hour,
that buzzer.
Wait, yeah.
And say, here's your buzzer. Well, it'll buzz. But if you go at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, they'll say, hey, you know, Dr. Womack, Mr. Washington, you all just follow me. We got a table. Why? Because we moved opposite of the crowd with our time. And I'll say it again. Average people follow crowds. Average breakers create them.
Come on, man. Drop that G on them, man.
So we're
gonna have to have Doc Washington. I'm calling it into existence, y'all. Doc Washington will have to definitely be back on another episode. But give us the G, man.
So we adopt a positive attitude. We value our time. And then the G is guard your goals. I think it was Dr. Benjamin Mays who said, he said, it must be born into the mind of a man that the challenge in life is not that you've not been able to reach your goals. The challenge in life is that you have no goals to reach. It's not that you don't have any goals. I mean, it's not that you didn't reach your goals. You don't have any. And so we've got to guard our goals, right? We've got to understand two things. Number one, when you write goals, write them in quicksand and not in concrete.
Yeah.
Because you got to be able to make some maneuver with them, right? You got to be able to make some moves with them.
Yeah.
And then you got to create that dream board. And at the top of that dream board, you know, you're going to put your pictures on there. You know, that book that you and I read said we call those things that be not as though they were.
Exactly.
Right. But we know what we see. And so at the top of my dream board, I have the following words. The me I see is the me I'll be. And so I put my pictures in there. I put it, and it's amazing how on the dream board I did in 2006, I had on there the White House. I said, I would love to speak at the White House one day, right?
Yeah.
It was just, and I don't know if I was just saying it because I really believed it or whatever, but it manifested. So you got to have written goals. So I tell people this all the time. A short pencil is better than a long memory.
Come on, somebody.
Write it down.
Write it down.
Write your goals down.
Our favorite book says write the vision.
Write the vision, make it plain. so he that readeth it may run and tell others. So when you write it, you got to write it so simple.
So simple
that a baby could run.
So you don't need like a 20, 30 page business plan, just something really simple, concise, and clear.
Listen, average people take an hour to explain what their purpose is. Average breakers can do it in 60 seconds.
Come on, somebody.
If I was to ask you right now what your purpose, your plan, you could articulate it to me in 60
Absolutely.
seconds. But an average person, they humming and humming and all that. So it's real simple. Anything that's ever going to be done great in life has to be done simple. The simple, the better.
Man, okay, so there we have it. If you guys want to see Dr. Joseph Washington back here, let me know down inside the comments. I kind of want to, but my mentor said, don't let what you want to do or say get in the way of what the people need to hear. So as part of the nation, we want you guys to let us know if you found value in this episode and you'd like for us to see if we can get back on the amazing Joseph Washington's calendar. Just let us know down inside of the comments and we'll do our level. This level of quality to you and even have Brother Joseph back. Man, I'm so grateful for you today, man.
Thank you.
The relationship that we're developing is just catapulted to a whole new level, man.
Yes.
You know, and it's funny how when you are connected with people that are moving in accordance with where you want to be, not where you're at,
right,
but where you want to be.
Yeah.
And I'm 100% confident that some of us out there in the Back from Broken Nation are where we're at because we haven't extended our vision. We haven't taken the time to look at some different things that might propel us to a different place than where we are right now.
Yeah.
And so if we have breath in our lungs here at the Back from Broken Nation, we're going to continue to expose you, continue to enlighten you, continue to put you in a place where you can begin to think and see things differently. Today, you got just a glimpse of the average methodology that really and truly will be coming to a neighborhood near you real soon. All right, guys. So I hope you had an amazing time with us today. I can't tell you how ecstatic I am for what was just shared with each and every one of you. I'd be remiss if I didn't leave you with this. Good, better, best. We can't let it rest until our good is our better and our better is our best. And based on our amazing conversation today, simply go to www.backfrombrokensummit.com and reserve your free seat today. Just simply go to www.backfrombrokensummit.com and reserve your free seat today. I can't wait to see your comments because I go back and look at those and respond to as many as I possibly can. And we'll look forward to seeing you next week right here on Back from Broken TV. It's your man, Dottie. I got a sneaky suspicion if you are willing to let average go, boy, stop. We might just see you at the top. and there's no sound. So we just, y'all charge it to our head. We were having a fantastic conversation over here. And when you do live stuff, that's kind of what happens. And if you don't have a director on site, because usually I'm that director. So we just had an amazing 10-minute conversation.
Well, that's good. That's good.
So rewind.
Yeah.
So we were just saying, we're so glad to have Brother Joseph B. Washington back in the studio oh so soon. And then we were actually applauding the transformations that we've seen happen in the coming back from setback room. And the question I asked, I'm gonna ask him again because I think you all need to hear this. Not only if you're in the clubhouse, but even those that may not be. One of the things we were chopping it up in privately while y'all was watching us, y'all felt like y'all was at one of them old school karate movies, right? And now we start speaking actually audibly. So one of the things I do want to circle back to, because we want to try and stay on schedule. So we got a couple of minutes before we bring the amazing Auntie Millicent to the stage. But before people get to that level in the game, like you were saying that you've seen people go from barely wanting to speak to now like literally running rooms. What's that observation been like for you as a leader as well?
Yeah. You know, the quote is perfect. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Back from Broken has shown up. You appear, you're here. And I've seen speakers go from, you know, I wrote the book called Let Average Go.
Yeah.
I've seen speakers go from average, man, to awesome.
They're killing it now.
Now to taking action.
Folks pulling them in rooms. We can't even keep them.
Can't even keep them. Yeah. But you pull that out of us. You know, you pull that out of many of the speakers that are here, and they're grateful. And as I was saying to you before we realized that we were not
we were muted,
not being heard. There's a platform of speakers today and tomorrow that are so diverse and different.
Yeah.
But notice this though, Doc. We're all on the same page.
Yeah.
We all got the same spirit. And nobody's in here trying to show up, trying to be a wonder.
Nah.
We're here trying to service the public and those that come into these rooms and come on this platform to give them the very best of what we have. And to me, man, that's awesome.
And introduce them to the higher version of themselves. That's it.
And we're going to see that in Auntie Millicent. People need to put on their seatbelt.
Bruh,
when she come on,
it's
a wrap.
I tried to told them the other night.
I tried to told them too.
When she showed up in the clubhouse room, I'm like, y'all, seatbelt warning.
Yeah.
You better get it, and you best get your pens and papers. I don't hang out with people that can't elevate me, that can't enlighten my mind to do things. And I'm making a very conscious effort now. You know, and at this juncture in my life, I ain't got time. I ain't got too much time left. So I want to maximize what I have and be around quality people. And Auntie Mill, bruh.
Right. Because you need people that's going to stretch you and not shrink you. Make you better and not make you better.
They're going to celebrate the eagle, not the pigeon.
Right. Because people, listen, man, people feed pigeons, but they shoot eagles.
They shoot eagles, bro. I pay attention on occasion.
Yes, sir.
And, you know, I've given you credit twice now. So
the third time it just dropped in your spirit.
The spirit just
God gave that to you, and that overrides everything. Don't worry about me, man. Shoot, first time I got it. Second time me and you was talking. Third time it dropped in your spirit. Because I'm using your stuff in the same way. So don't worry about it.
Do it. You know what I'm saying? And that's the beauty of being in an environment. You don't have to copy. Well, let me take that back. Ain't nothing wrong with being a copycat.
Copy the right cat.
As long as you copy the right cat. So don't get it twisted. There's nothing new under the sun. And part of what we hope and pray is illuminated in these next 2 days is just that.
Yeah.
The vast diversity of stories that we're going to bring forth to you, it runs the spectrum. There's not a bunch of like type people, but we are definitely on a similar mission.
Yeah.
And so we cannot wait. And in fact, we're not going to hold you guys not another further. We're going to bring to you the amazing Auntie Mill, and we're going to get this rotation started, man.
Let's do it, man.
And then we're going to come back and we're going to chop it up periodically throughout the day. We got some live moderation popping off after the show. So tell you what, if you haven't already done so, hit the share button. If you open Clubhouse, let's see who's hanging out in Clubhouse. Whoa, they are rocking in Clubhouse. Hello, everybody. Why is Sister Grace Ann down in the audience? Why is Cecilia in the audience? Why my family in the audience? If y'all don't bring my family up to the stage, I'm watching y'all. y'all better quit playing. My family need to be up on the stage. Everybody else can come up too, because it's kind of a listen only, and the quality of sound is better up there. But I'm gonna let them do their thing. But next, y'all, we got the amazing sister queen, Auntie Millicent, who is new to the movement, but she ain't new to the game. Oh my God. So y'all hang tight for sure, for real. Get your pens, get your paper, or your favorite digital tool of recording, because I guarantee you, if you pay attention to any portion of this next speaker, you're going to walk away with something that will help you change the trajectory of the path that you are on. Yeah. And it won't be ridiculous any longer. No. Okay, let me stop. This is going to be so good. Okay, so here we go, y'all. Here we go. Our very first speaker in rotation today on the Back from Broken Summit after the intro. And we are just super duper excited about this. So let go, y'all. The Back from Broken Summit is officially started.
Hey there, friends. This is Millicent St. Clair, also known affectionately as Auntie Millicent. And I want to thank Dr. Ed for inviting me to participate in the Back from Broken Summit. This is an amazing opportunity to tell the truth. And I like to say that the one who tells the truth gets free. But nobody said it would be pretty, okay? So we're going to be telling the truth in this series of conversations with a variety of different speakers. And I'm telling you, everybody's on the path. As somebody's focused on solutions, because this is really a solution-focused conversation. Dr. Ed invited me to participate because I myself am a returning citizen, which is the new term. I use the term FIP, or formerly incarcerated person. And yes, you can never judge a book by its cover. True or true? So I am really delighted to have the opportunity to share. I am a speaker. I am a trainer. I travel all over the world. I teach a variety of human development programs, and I am also an author. So my book is called Negativity and Drama Are Simply Ridiculous. And my book's a little different. It's a picture book. And I have 50 illustrations that I created. And I have my character. Her name is Mimi. Me, as in me. And she goes through a lot of ridiculous antics before she finally comes to the light and learns how to ligmo, which means let it go and move on. So let me show you that, because that's sign language. This is release. Lock your fingers together and we're going to let go. Let it go and move on. Come on, do it with me and say it with me. Come on, let's have some fun. The whole purpose of this summit is to engage with you, to have fun with you, and to illuminate you, to lift you up, to encourage you to new levels of realization and experience. So come on, we're gonna let it go and move on. That's right, you're gonna move on to your higher good where you belong. That's the whole point of this conversation. So I want to start by telling you a little bit about my mom. Lovely soul. My mother has 3 kids from 3 different men. She was married 5 times, but none of those 5 husbands weren't any of our daddies. And I share that to say, or to let you know, that I didn't have a good model of healthy relationships growing up. It was in and out. Oh my God, lots happening. And that affected my perception of myself, as well as the decisions that I made in my life, some of which led me to prison eventually, okay? And when I landed in prison and found myself surrounded by those dense, white, cold block walls, and had to stare at those metal bars every day, held tightly together by those giant metal locks, and hear the clanking sound of the keys on the guard's waist as they pass by, and step onto that cold and unwelcoming concrete floor every day. Yeah, that was a sledgehammer awakening for me. And that was the thing that got my attention. I'm like, oh my God, I'm talking sledgehammer awakening. And that's what it took. Then that's what it took. And that's what it took. And my sledgehammer awakening was actually the realization that I couldn't blame anybody for anything. I couldn't blame the judge the jury, the DA, the prosecutor, my defense team, all they ruled evidence inadmissible. I couldn't blame my mama. I couldn't blame him. I could not blame anybody. And I had to take total responsibility for the fact that I had made a mess of my life. I did. It was ridiculous. And one day I sat on a metal stool with slackened shoulders, and I was looking at all the other women there around me. And we were all there together, just a bunch of lost souls, you know, dressed in those wrinkled white prison uniforms. What? And I looked and I'm thinking, cool, smart, sexy chicks. We were not. No, we were among the dejected, the wounded, the broken, that had such bad perceptions and bad programming and even impoverished thinking that leads to poverty and a whole host of behaviors to make money and survive. A lot of people are in survival mode. My mom was in survival mode, where most people are in survival mode. And we want to understand those dynamics. And that's what this summit is really all about. Looking at what is not working. And when I say things are simply ridiculous, I never say it in a spirit of judgment. I say it from a perspective of understanding what is going on, what are the root causes, and what do we need to do about it. So this whole summit is a solution-focused conversation, a series of conversations with different people who are coming to the light, who are walking in the light, who are bringing others, come to the light, come to the light. That's what this is. So I just want you to know that I am grateful to have the opportunity to share, to be transparent, authentic. My story and what happened to me was well over 20 years ago. I've created a whole new life for myself, and it is beautiful and wonderful. But many people are still in the impact of their suffering, and I'm a part of the solution to that. So thanks, Dr. Ed, for including me. Yes. So as I shared, my program is LIGMO, or my message is LIGMO, L-I-G-M-O, which means let it go and move on. And this is really, really a powerful process because it's an ongoing skill set, because you will be letting go of things for the rest of your life, actually. So realize it's not, I let go, I'm over it. No. This is ongoing. So I'm going to share with you, there are 50 illustrations as I shared in my book, but there are 16 simply ridiculous behaviors, or primary ridiculous behaviors, as I like to say, because there's thousands. And I want to share with you just a few of them. So here's the first one, and it's called negative self-talk. And there's a little illustration of my Mimi. And these were some of the messages that I had. Messages like, well, get real, quit dreaming. Well, nobody's going to take you serious. Well, I can't afford it. You don't have enough money. They're not going to like me. I don't fit in. You're not smart enough. You're not good enough. You're not tall enough. Oh my God. Do we hear voices? Let me say that again. We all hear voices. Yes. Every one of us, without exception, have conversations going on between these ears all day long, and the vast majority of them are not positive and constructive. Now, I've heard it said, you know, some neuroscientists and others have said we have about 40,000 or so thoughts per day, and the majority of them are the same ones we had yesterday. And, you know, if you think about the mind, it's kind of like a VCR. It records and then it plays back. It records and it plays back, and it records and it plays back. So we've got lots of memories, deeply embedded wounds and memories that we keep replaying and repeating, and we keep living into that old experience. And it's time to learn how to relax and release them so that we can go on to create the beautiful life that we want and that we deserve. So we've got to deal with, first and foremost, the thoughts. And we're creatures of habit, and we're in the habit of doing things very often unconsciously, because that's what habits are. It's just habitual behaviors that we do and we don't even think about it, even in terms of our thinking patterns. So the first principle of LIGMO is self-awareness. We've got to be aware of what is going on between these ears, this monkey mind that we need to arrest and we need to reprogram, because we can take charge of our programming. And if you don't, I'll tell you, there are others who are definitely vying for your attention, who want to hook it and take control of your mind. So we want to help you unplug, unprogram from the negative and take charge of your thinking and your life. Here's another one of the behaviors. It's called listening to the voice of the other. The other. You know who the other is? It's that character whispering all those negative thoughts into your head in the first place. The other exists in many, many forms. All kind of people around us represent the other. And realize that whoever and whatever you give ear to, you give your ear to, you're listening to, has influence on you. So the question is, who and what are you listening to? That's huge. That's huge right there all by itself. Who and what are you listening to? Who are you hanging out with? And I had to realize I was hanging out with some low down chicks. I had a crew, my God, they were like the usual suspects, okay? And they were a hot mess, and so was I. Yeah, baby. Hell on wheels. And I realized this is not going to get me where I'm wanting to go. And we were looking good on the outside, but we were busted up on the inside, my Lord. So who and what you hang out with, who and what you listen to has influence. You want to be under the influence of people like Dr. Ed, who are calling you to be more, to do more, to recognize and remember your divinity. That's important. Playing the victim role. My gosh. You shouldn't have made me so mad. The devil made me do it. I had too much to drink. It wasn't my fault. Let me tell you something. Powerful people don't have time to play the victim role. Now, many of us have been victimized. I've been victimized. Many people have been victimized, but that's not the same as playing the victim role, because this is a mindset. And this whole program, my program, Dr. Ed's program, it's about developing a proper mindset and skill set to support you in your life, to create the life you want, and to manifest at a high level. But we got to let go of the victim mindset because it doesn't work. It's not productive. It's not what time it is. So we're going to let that go. So here's 3 questions. Can you let it go? Can you let it go? Will you? Will you let it go? And when? You see, it's a choice in every moment to let it go. I've been robbed. I've been raped. I've been beat up. I've had a lot of things happen to me in my life. But I don't play the victim role. It's always, what was I supposed to learn from that? So we don't let that happen again. So let's get the lesson, because it's not what happens to you in life. It's how you handle what happens to you. Finger pointing, blaming, and judging, and making other people bad and wrong. Yeah, that's a serious one right there. We know how to do that thing. And you know, they say when you point one finger at somebody, you point 3 back at yourself. Yeah, this is really about not looking at the other, letting go of these behaviors and taking total responsibility for whatever is happening in your life. And if you don't like it, that's cool. Then you just simply need to ask what I ask. All right, if I don't like this creation, how can I create something new on top of that? A new creation, yeah. So we're going to let that go and create something new. Blessings. So then you're not going to continue in this pattern, and release it and move on to something else. This one is selective hearing. Oh, I heard what you said and I know what you meant. Because you know, people only hear what they want to hear. You already know the answer to this. This is not rocket science, but this is a real deep one here, because this is about communication. And everything in life is about communication, relationships, and choices. So it's a choice how we're communicating. You know, do we listen or do we not listen? Or what's going on with us in terms of communication? So we want to listen, not just with the ears, but also learn to attend to people and listen with the heart. Now that's an advanced conversation. And we'll talk about the science of the heart moving forward. Ball and chain of the past. Have you ever met somebody who just keeps talking about what happened and what they did and what they made me do and what they did to me? Oh my God, yeah. It's like carrying a ball and chain along with you everywhere you go. After a while, it gets really stale. People don't want to keep hearing it. Like, oh my God, here she comes again with that. Don't be that person. I decided I don't want to be that girl. So I don't really like talking about the past unless it's in the context of a lesson, because the past is dead and gone. Come on, say that with me. Say, the past is dead and gone. Say it again. The past is dead and gone. It's over. What happened 5 minutes ago, it's the past. It is over. What's the lesson that I got from that? I will bring that forward. and appreciate that and add that to my toolbox of lessons and wisdom, but not living inside the past and talking about it and reinforcing it and reliving it. Then there's this here. This is called checkered past, because some people, have a little checkered past. See the little checkered skirt there? Yeah, there's a lot of symbolism inside of my images as well. So some people are locked up mentally, physically, and emotionally. And let's talk about physically, because even if you're not locked up physically in terms of physical incarceration, some people are locked up at such a degree mentally that they don't even know who they are. Excuse me, physically, that they're locked up physically to the point where it manifests as physical illnesses and ailments. That's right, disease. You're dis-ease, you're not at ease, dis-ease. Yeah, so we've got to really deal with what's going on between the ears and learn how to get free from those things and heal those old wounds. That's important. Screaming Mimi. Now, as you can see, her head is disconnected from her body, or actually from her heart. Houston, we have a problem here, big time. So the two behaviors of choice are either explode, and we know what that looks like when people are having a meltdowns. And this is happening all over in our nation right now. This is important to understand, because now we're talking about emotional management. And that's the second thing I teach. Self-awareness, emotional management, and then we'll get to personal mastery later. But this is important because people are out of control emotionally. So either they explode or they implode. And we know what implode is. We do drugs and alcohol or food or sex behaviors, crazy drama stuff, but it's all self-destructive. And we've got to get a grip on our energy, our emotions, because emotions are, think about it, emotion, it's energy in motion. So when we learn emotional management and emotional mastery, then we're going to eliminate a whole lot of drama out of our lives. So we got to get a handle on the screaming Mimi. And then there's here, this is making amends and learning how to clean up your act. These are just a few of the behaviors, because we have got to learn how to come to terms with what's going on and how to deal with it in a healthy way, and learn how to say, I love you, and I'm so sorry, please forgive me, and thank you, because I was not operating in my right mind. And look, letting go is so liberating. Look at the Mimi. Isn't she beautiful now? Now that's a far cry from the screaming Mimi, isn't it? Look at the screaming Mimi. Oh my God. Mimi from hell versus this one here. So this program is really about personal transformation. Dr. Ed's program is about letting go of that crap from the past and letting go of the brokenness. Now, you're not broken at all, first and foremost. Let me say that. I'm not, you're not, none of us are. But we have broken perceptions and we have woundedness because there has been trauma. And that's what we aim to heal you from. You are perfect, whole, and complete. You are a unique, one-of-a-kind miracle of the universe. Let me say that again. You are a unique, one-of-a-kind miracle of the universe. And your job is to be your best self and to bring out the best in others. Because if you're not being your best self, then what are you doing? And if you're not bringing out the best in others, then what the heck are you doing? Because we know how to bring out the beast in somebody, don't we? Auntie Millicent knows all about that. I know about the ridiculous. I wrote the book on it. Okay, so we're going to have authentic conversations going forward. But releasing and letting go is a moment by moment choice. And the questions are, can you let it go? Will you? And when? Yeah. And whatever happens, I want you to realize that it's just AFGO. AFGO, that means another fabulous growth opportunity. Because you know what? You don't grow when everything's hunky-dory. We grow when we have challenges, and life is full of them, because this is just one big classroom. So we're supposed to get our lessons and go on to the next set of lessons, because it's a nonstop journey. But our goal is to teach you skills for resiliency and how to rebound from the things that are occurring and how to keep it moving forward. Shoulders back, ladies, boobs up. Okay, that's right. Straighten up your spine, get your lessons, and let's keep it moving. And in closing, let me say that with an open heart, I smile more and I stress less, because to do anything else is simply ridiculous. So I want to encourage you to attend and be on as many of the sessions that you can in the remainder of this summit, because there is a lot of substance. And we've got some truth tellers, just like myself. Auntie Millicent loves telling the truth, because remember, the one who tells the truth gets free. And the truth is strangely liberating, but nobody said it would be pretty. So you're going to hear some gripping stories and some beautiful stories about transformation, because that's what this journey is about. And I want to thank you for just listening to my message. I've got a lot more to share. I'm going to be working with Dr. Ed, so you will see Auntie Millicent again and again and again. And I neglected to mention that I have a free gift for you, and that is an ebook entitled The 3 Principles of Ligmo. And I'll tell you what they are. I've mentioned them. Number 1 is self-awareness. Number 2 is emotional management. And number 3 is really about personal mastery. And so I want to invite you to download it. Just click the link below, download it. And I look forward to dialoguing with you in the future so that we can talk about how you apply these principles to your life in the way that's most meaningful to you, and so that you can get the results that you're looking for. So with that, again, I want to say thank you. I appreciate you. And I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Add string. Move her.
Well, here we are, here we are, here we are. I am Joseph B. Washington, your world's average breaker coach, Mr. Let Average Go himself, and I'm here with Auntie Millicent St. Clair. You guys just heard an amazing speech for the last 20 minutes. And so I'm going to chop it up with my sister, ask some questions. We're going to get to know her a little bit. So how you feeling today?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much. And what a pleasure to be here and to participate in the Back from Broken Summit.
Isn't this awesome?
Man, I appreciate this. I love it. I love it. Everything about it.
Well, I tell you what, I'm super excited because I know you personally. We've been knowing each other over a decade now, and I know the awesomeness that you bring and to the Back from Broken, the platform that Dr. Womack has given us to be able to share our gift, share it to the world. And of course, you did an amazing job. You know, she's somebody, guys, that you got to come here live. So wherever she's speaking, you find out her itinerary and you go hear her. But I want to talk to you today about your message and why you're so passionate about what you do, why do you do what you do? Why is it important for you to echo this sound, this message to the world? Why are you so passionate about it?
Wow. You know, as I said, everything's about communication, relationships, and choices. And the little backstory that I told about my mom.
Yes.
And that she had 3 kids by 3 different men, married 5 times, but none of those 5 husbands weren't any of our fathers. So I didn't have a healthy model of relationships growing up.
Right.
And that affected my perception of myself and the choices that I made in my relationships.
Sure.
And I think that that's true for a lot of people. And so when I observe other people, I do it without judgment, because I understand that there's some underlying dynamics in terms of what's going on with people.
Yeah.
And some things that need to be healed, that need to be resolved, and some correction that needs to take place. We need to correct our perceptions, and we've got to make some decisions about how we want to go forward.
Yeah.
So I understand the underlying dynamics, and that's one of the things that really drives me.
Yeah.
Looking at the wounds, looking at the trauma, and saying, how can we heal this? How can we fix this and make it better moving forward?
Yeah. You know, our story, you know, and our life story is so important.
Yeah.
You know, it actually frames us. We grow up in this certain atmosphere, and we become what we've been growing up to be, right? And so my next question I want to ask you, in terms of, you know, when you're on that stage and you're sharing your message, how do you know what to share and what not to share? Because there's a lot of sensitive information out there, a lot of things that you've gone through personally that's very sensitive. So how do you know as a speaker? And, you know, in case we've got other speakers that are listening and they want to know, because I've heard some speakers that just tell it all. Right. And I'm just like, Lord, why did he say that? So how do you know how much to share, what to share, when to share?
Well, for me, that came by trial and error. And I had an experience once where I spoke before a group of women, and it was a phenomenal experience. And they loved my message. I was straight out of prison, actually.
Right.
So I told them my story and explained it, and women were just there, just hanging on my every word. It was fantastic. A week later, I spoke before like a Kiwanis club. It was a bunch of older conservative men. And they all looked at me like a deer in the headlights. I mean, they were like, and who is this lady, and how is this relevant to us? And I got it. I got that my message wasn't appropriate for everybody.
Right.
And what I should share and the context in which I would share it was not appropriate for everybody. So I came out blasted. I was enthusiastic. I had all this energy, and I was pumped up from the first success. And then I got to the second one, and these guys were like, and they clapped like this as a courtesy, right? And I understood that. So I think it's important for us to know who we're speaking to. And as Doc says, it's not what you want to say, it's what the audience needs to hear.
Right.
I think that's really important to understand. So there's a lot of things that go into preparation, knowing who your audience is, what are the dynamics, the demographics, what is the age group, what are the challenges with that group. There's a lot to go into knowing what you should say, how much you should share.
Yeah.
So I shared that, I went to prison, for example, but I didn't get into what I was there for, because that's a whole nother conversation.
That's a whole nother conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah. One of the things that I know about you personally, you do a lot of reading.
Yes.
Right. Like you read everything. And if you go to your home, if you ever have an opportunity to go to Millicent's home, you'll see her library, and her library is around her entire house. So you go in the garage, the bedroom, the living room, her office, whatever. There's books everywhere. And I think that's one of the reasons why you're so masterful at what you do, because you have so many angles that you can come from. How important is reading for a speaker who's endeavoring to speak and master their craft? How important is reading?
As I say, everything's about communication.
Yeah.
First and foremost. And a book is a living entity, actually. It's not just words on paper. It's an actual communication. It's a transmission. Yes. You already know that I teach a program called photo reading, and that's how to read a book, turning the pages like this at like 25,000 words per minute. So I am a specialist in terms of reading. It's called photo reading, and developing the non-conscious portion of your mind, communicating with the conscious mind, so we can process information faster and better, because the brain is really powerful and we can do lots.
Yes.
So we need to develop our skill set as well as our mindset, and communicating with authors, all kinds of authors, helps us to improve our communication, first and foremost. So it's not just about reading, it's about how can we create a more dynamic communication, not just with the author, but internalize that information so we can then share it with others. So that's important. Communicating, because speakers, what do? We communicate.
Yeah.
Authors, what do? We communicate.
Yeah.
And so reading is an important part of that, and a very important part of that. And I encourage a love of reading. So I want to transform people into lovers of learning. In fact, lifelong lovers of learning. That's a theme for me inside of the photo reading and that other part of what I do.
Yeah, you bring out a great point, because I think oftentimes authors feel like they need to be speakers, and speakers feel like they need to be authors, right?
Yes.
And some people are just better at writing, right? Not everybody's called or is gifted to be a great orator, right? But they're gifted to be a great writer. And I want people who are listening to really understand the importance. You may feel like today, hey, I'm not as eloquent or as articulate as Millicent, but you may be a great writer, and we need you. We need your writings. We need your stories. These are the stories that she's reading, that she's able to go along when she's sharing her message, myself included. I do a lot of reading that helps my message, helps strengthen my message. So there is a platform for everybody. This particular platform we're on is for our speakers, and people are able to articulate and to speak. And you guys will hear later on my story of how I stuttered.
Yes.
I grew up with a severe speech impediment, and I stuttered. So this is the last thing, Millicent, I thought that I would ever be doing. Like I never grew up thinking like I want to be a speaker. I want to be so far away from that what I'm doing today, I know that is God and is God's grace. One of the things that I know about you is that you have a passion to see people grow. You like training and helping people. So as it relates to being a keynote speaker versus being a trainer, which one is really the one that you really feel the most comfortable? Is it that hour keynote, or do you like getting in there for 3 or 4 hours and training people? You can see her body language, y'all. She's letting you know already what the answer is. But speak to that for those individuals who, like myself, you are a phenomenal trainer, right? That's not, I can do it, but it's not really my highest gift.
Yes.
I'm that guy that gets in there for the hour, gets you rocking and rolling and going. And so
yes.
I'm okay with that. That's
Yes.
like that's what I do. Talk to us about that keynote versus being that trainer.
Yeah, and there is a very important distinction, because I never thought of myself as a speaker, but I've been invited to speak. And so I had to really think about that and prepare for that and step to the plate. And I've been going through some training programs for that. And that's important for us. Training is important. But in terms of delivering workshops and seminars, now that's my forte. First, starting with the photo reading program, because it's a 3-day seminar straight through. 18, 20 hours of instruction nonstop, and it's experiential. So that's a different kind of a program, but it took me to a whole nother level in my awareness of making sure that when you impart information to somebody, that they really internalize it and that they get it, that they assimilate it, and it becomes a part of them. But they've got to do something with that information in order to make that happen. So we can't just be passive receivers of information. That's not learning. Passive. No, learning has to be an active process. So we want to be APQ, which means active, purposeful. We got to be on purpose with whatever it is we're learning, and questioning. We've got to be in a mindset of asking questions, because inquiry, or asking the right kind of questions, opens us up to genius. So we want to use our skill set to learn how to ask the right questions. That's a skill set in and of itself, Joe. Learning how to ask the right questions.
Yes.
So it's really, everything comes back down to communication. But training is my love. That's my first love.
Yeah. And listen, for you all that are watching us right now, and if you're making comments in the comment section, if you have a question that you want to ask Miss Millicent, we call her Auntie Millicent, please put your question in there. We'll ask her the question. But this is a one-on-one. This is an opportunity for us not only to get to know her, but then to understand her why. I think the greatest gift that we've been given is the art of communicating.
Yes.
Right. To be able to be in front of a crowd, for a crowd to be able to grace us with their presence and listen to our message. And I think that's why it's so important for speakers to take speaking seriously.
Yes.
Right. This is not a hobby for us.
Yeah.
This is our life. We want to be transformative with our message, so that it changes the lives of people, so that it heals them. It brings love.
Sure.
It unifies them, but it also lets them know what the possibilities can be if you're willing to open up your mouth and just share your story. Now, do you believe that everybody has a story? You know, like some people believe, like, I don't have anything. I didn't do anything interesting. I wasn't a drug addict, or I wasn't, doing this or that. Do you believe everybody has a story
Oh my God.
to tell?
Are you kidding me? Of course, everybody has a story. And it's important for us to have a platform where we can tell that story in a beautiful, elegant, and constructive manner. But let's talk about communication.
Okay.
Because if you think about what is communication, I like to think of it like this: reading, writing, speaking, and listening. When you're reading an author's writing, they're actually speaking into your listening. Have you ever read a book and you could hear the characters talking to you? You could hear the storyline coming to life, even in the course of reading. Different from a movie, you're reading and you're so present with it that you could see the characters and feel them and identify them. You got the whole thing. So you're reading an author's writing and they're speaking into your listening. So that's a whole fluid, dynamic communication just in the process of reading somebody's writing. So that's really a living, breathing communication that is forming and developing. So authors need to be able to write effectively their story.
Right.
So when the readers read it, that they can hear and they hear the speaking of the author in the course of, so you're reading, they're writing, they're speaking into your listening. That's a whole package right there in terms of communication. Now in training, of course, I'll have slides and they're reading the slides and they're writing, they're taking notes. I'm speaking and they're speaking and we're listening to one another. It's a continuous dynamic that's unfolding. Whereas typically with the keynote, it's just someone speaking and there's a passive listening. Now, the best speakers, though, as you know, include the audience in the conversation.
Absolutely.
That's the best speaking.
Right.
Where it's dynamic. Sometimes there's call and response. Not just a dry lecture or the speaker just full of themselves wanting to just convey a message and it's all about them. It's not just about you as a speaker. It's about you and the story and the message and how that relates to the audience and making them a part of it. So we've got to make sure that we develop that skill set so it's not just a monologue.
Yeah, and I think it's important, you know, what you just said in terms of a speaker being able to engage the audience.
Yes.
That's something that I love doing. I think that comes easy for me in
Yes.
terms of just getting the audience involved, you know, especially during a training session, right? It's hard for people to just sit there, have somebody just continue to talk to them, and there's no interaction. So as a speaker, you've got to learn the skill of getting people involved, hearing their voice as well, because I found some of the greatest information that I've learned has come from the audience that I'm training, has come from the people that I'm training.
Yes.
When I get their feedback and I ask them a question, like for instance, my message of Let Average Go, I always ask, what is average?
Yes.
And I tell them in a funny way, listen, because I'm going to use your stuff.
Yes.
I want your definition because I'm going to use it, right? But I've heard some amazing definitions of what average is because I've got them involved. So interaction with the audience is very, very important. Understanding your audience, getting to know your audience. We talked about, you know, for speakers that are going into a particular arena, understanding the person who brought them in, understanding what they want you to do,
Yes.
so that you create a win-win. It's
That's
one thing to engage the audience, rouse the audience, but the person who hired you,
That's right.
you want to make sure that you gave them, that you give them exactly what they asked you to do. Is there anything else you want to touch on? Anything you
I
want
want to
share?
say that I love collaborating with you. And, you know, I've seen you speak and then you bring me in on the back end to do like a mini training. And that's really awesome. When you find other speakers and trainers who are not competitors, but they're collaborators. And that's what I'm really loving about this Back from Broken message and this whole platform, this nation,
Yes.
this energy. It's really about collaboration. How can we all support one another, lift one another up, encourage one another, and bring out the best in one another? As I said in my talk, 2 questions I like to ask. Number one, if you're not being your best self, what are you doing?
Right.
I mean, that's a question, right? If you're not being your best self, what are you doing? And the second one is if you're not bringing out the best in others,
Yes.
what are you doing?
Yes.
And I love you because you bring out the best in me. You activate me. I activate you. I
Right.
love sharing information with you. You share things with me, resources. You help me, referrals. I mean, just whatever it takes to keep things moving forward. So we're not competitors. We're collaborators.
Absolutely.
We're different. We're complements to one another. And I especially love working with men. So male, female energy working together in harmony. I mean, that is such a blessing and such a gift.
Yeah.
So that's something that I like to encourage everybody to find those that have a complementary message, you know, inside of the community that maybe you guys can get together and you can piggyback, help each other out. One leads with this and it could lead to a training. So you lead with the speaking and then guess what? He hands a baton to me and then I do the deeper training. And I also reinforce his message inside of the work that I do. So it's just it's layered, so to speak.
Yeah.
So that the receiver, so the audience gets the most value. We're here to add value to people's life.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we do. And when you have the right collaborators with the right mindset and a complementary skill set, it's formula for success.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I think that when people can understand, you know, particularly in our situation, we've been doing this over a decade together. I think it's important, even if you have spouses like your husband, my wife, nobody's threatened. Everybody love each other. My wife stays in her lane. Your
Yes.
husband stays in his lane. They know we're speakers. We do what we do.
That's right.
Because there is integrity
Yes.
that is connected to it, because you are female, I am male, but we have a brother-sister relationship. We
That's
love
right.
each other, but we want the best for each other. And I think that, you know, the speakers need to understand you can learn from everybody.
Yes.
I pick up things from you, things that you do, things that I add to my repertoire because it's just good and it works. I remember when we went to Augusta, Georgia,
Yes.
and you shared with that audience of ladies. And I was like, this is going to be tough. And we're putting all of your signs on the walls. You remember that? We're taping them up. But when you got done with that audience, oh my goodness, I seen them folk just smiling, getting up, doing stuff because you knew how to engage them. But I think also, let me ask you this question. How important is transparency, you know, in terms of just being open? Because I think a lot of speakers want to just share the good stuff, you know, or to make them, but I think you've got to be equally vulnerable. So that's the word I'll use, vulnerability. How important is vulnerability as a speaker?
Oh my gosh, it's everything. because the only way to really connect with the audience is to tell the truth, and the one who tells the truth gets free. So, I mean, I like to say that because I believe that. And I know that when I do just even a little bit of personal self-disclosure, just tell a little bit and understand something about he's speaking. Here's what I really get, that it's just a conversation with other people.
Yeah.
That's it. So when I'm in front of a group of women or any group, I get that those are just people. Those are my cousins and my aunties and my mother figures and my sisters and community members and my neighbors. And I just see them as that. And I get that's me out there. They are me and I am them. And we see each other. And when we can be vulnerable with each other and just share, my pain just a little bit, but then move it quickly to the lesson, because we want to focus on the solution, not so much the problem. But we have to tell, like what the problem is, or be vulnerable about whatever the topic is, so that we can open them up to that. And then I poll my audiences. I'll say, how many of you know somebody? So for example, how many of you all know somebody who's been to prison? And I raise my hand. And then guess what? All the hands in the audiences go up. I say, okay, good, thank you. How many of you know somebody who's been to prison more than once? Hands all go up. How about this? How many of you all know someone who suffered with an alcohol or drug problem? All hands go up. And I'll say, oh, great. So we're all on the same page here. So little things that you can do to get agreement with people, and also engagement, raising your hand, asking a question, and modeling that behavior. And then they do it with you. Now, all of a sudden, you're starting to build rapport. So it's questions, it's modeling, in terms of our body language and things that we do. And just making that authentic connection and being vulnerable with people. That makes a huge difference in terms of your success with that event and with the audience.
Yeah, and that's good. And I think that, for me, as I've shared before, growing up with a speech impediment, having a severe stutter, and then having a mother who was bipolar, right? So you're dealing with the mental stuff that's going on. So as a child who can't articulate, can't speak, whose mother's bipolar. So, and anybody that that's bipolar, there's no middle passage with them. They're either hot or cold. They're either good or bad. And so I can remember growing up, just feeling like, my voice didn't matter, like I didn't matter. I had a lot of low self-esteem, and people wouldn't believe that, because physically I looked okay, but on the inside, I was living a life of quiet desperation with the hopes that nobody would ever find me out. Right. And I took that into my adult life, and decisions that I made came as a result of how I felt in terms of how, growing up. But it wasn't until I got around a certain kind of people that began to stretch me, that began to give me value, to make me feel like I was important, and to understand my value. And I tell you now, as a speaker, I can't wait. Anytime I have an opportunity to share that message, to share the importance of my personal story, it makes a difference.
Yes, indeed it does. Yes. So, listen, we want to...
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I want to acknowledge the folks that we have over in the clubhouse. We've got Marla B. Oh my goodness, you guys! When you hear her, Nikki Keys, my God, that is an awesome lady. We've got Sean, Sister Ingrid, which I found out she actually has the word great in her name. Sherry, who helped put a lot of this together behind the scene, not being concerned about being up front, but an awesome speaker as well.
Doing what I call the invisible work, right?
The invisible work.
Yeah, she's doing the invisible work.
Yeah, my dear sister Chandra,
thanks, Sherry.
Who's a minister of the gospel, phenomenal speaker. I had an opportunity to be on her show just the other day as well. And so we've got some amazing people that's in the clubhouse. Sister Grace. Yeah, and as well, we want to acknowledge our guests that have come in here to listen to the Back from Broken: Patrick, Sheila, Amara Woodrow, Tanika, Gregory, Shantae, John. I think I'm saying this right. Tanisha, Claire, Eli, Gil, India, Stephanie, Tanja, Julia, Alethea, Then we've got Tiffany and Latoya. Thank you guys so much for coming into the clubhouse to be on the Back from Broken. This means so much to us because it allows us to see the effectiveness of what we have. We want to make sure, and Dr. Womack has been saying from the very onset, the founder and creator of the Back from Broken message, to make sure that we bring you excellence. So if anything happens during this time and it may not be as great as you think it could be, count it to our head, not to our heart. We're working on perfecting everything that we're doing, but we appreciate you all over in the clubhouse who are listening to us, who are going to be on with us throughout the day. Remember, tomorrow we're going to be back tomorrow as well, but we're just super, super excited about what's taking place, what's going on. Again, as I said before, we have some amazing speakers, guys.
And I'm so impressed because I've seen this lineup and I've looked and done a little homework on the other speakers because I'm brand new to this and I'm so delighted to be a part of it and to be included. But I am so impressed and I'm going to hang on every word and watch all of the presentations. And I want to thank you all for being here bright and early, for bringing yourself to the program, because there's a lot of substance here. And this is your new community, our new family. And, we become the top people we hang out with. Yeah. What I like is we have people of like mind, and I like to say like and light mind, light-minded people. Yes. People who are walking in the light, who are authentic, who are doing the thing, who are telling the truth, and who are helping to set other people free. Yep. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate that. Yeah. And
like I said, amazing speakers we have for you all throughout the day. And we know that, it's going to be nothing but quality and greatness throughout this. And as I said, when I wrote the book, Let Average Go, I wrote it with me in mind, because for most of my life, I have been average. But I made a decision one day to break the spirit of average, to let average go, because I saw that average was not only affecting me, but it was affecting so many other people in my life. And so I want to encourage each and every one of you all that are listening, each and every one of you all that have come out, each and every one of you all that's over in the clubhouse, on Facebook, on YouTube, that are listening to us, to know that we have you in mind for today and the speakers that we're bringing to you. Greatness awaits you. And I heard somebody say one time, don't be like the man who saw the handwriting on the wall and thought it was a forgery. It's the real deal. Yeah, you guys are the real deal. And so we're just super, super excited. Anything else you want to bring to point, Millicent? Just that everybody has an opportunity to be an agent of change inside of your community, just by having the courage to step forward and to speak, to open your mouth to speak, to submit yourself to the process of being inside of a coaching program that's helping you to develop the skill set so that you can be effective in your speaking. That is wonderful. Because this is really, we change the world by changing ourselves first and foremost and modeling that behavior for others. And in each of your trainings, your speaking and your trainings, that all of the programs that you're going to be delivering, you're modeling something new for the people in your community. And I want you to just be present to that, because I certainly am. And I'm so glad to be a part of this enlightened community of people who are like-minded and light-minded. So thank you. We bless you. We appreciate you. Well, I tell you what, guys, again, I'm super, super, super excited about today, of what's taking place. And like I said, you want to hang on. You want to stay throughout the day to hear the various speakers that we have. I know most of them, they are bringing fire to this camp, okay? And so I want you guys to really just understand the importance of what today is. And hopefully it will inspire some of you all that are looking to be speakers. And you're saying, I want to speak. So I'm saying, watch these speakers, listen to them, listen to their presentation, their style, and how they do things. What can you learn from them? But everybody has a story. That's right. And your story is important as well. That's right.
We're going to find out what is this whole Back from Broken movement about from Dr. Ed.
Okay. And listen, so you see me keep moving my head over to the side because I'm talking to Doc, but we're going to find out right now, what is this whole Back from Broken movement about, right? Like, why was it inspired? Where did it come from? I happen to actually be in Clubhouse at the very moment that Dr. Womack decided to do this Back from Broken, when he just put a clarion call out and say, hey guys, what do you think? And people to 100 started jumping on and say, hey, man, do this. Let's make this happen. And this is the product of what has happened just from that thought. And so we're going to bring Dr. Womack back on, and he's going to explain to you the background, why, what's going on, what you can look forward in the future. You don't want to miss it. Dr. Womack is coming at this time.
All righty. Thank you.
Hey, guys. Welcome to the Back from Broken Nation. And if you've been watching and wondering, what is it that might be able to take me to that next version of myself. Well, tell you what, you are in the right place because the roadmap to recovery, redemption, and restoration awaits you. What does that mean? How does that going to make a difference in the life that you've been living? If you know, like I know, there have been different times along this journey where perhaps I may have felt as though the shame, the guilt, the doubt that I have been carrying for years was something that I would never be able to get beyond, never be able to share openly, never get to a place where there was actually some constructive purpose in all that pain that had taken place. So here's the great news for you. As we proceed along this next several weeks, we're going to be having topics that will allow us to interactively unpack the pain, the purpose, and the propelling things that will allow you to go from that place of despair, that place of being counted out, that place of being overlooked, and get to a place where you now begin to fully realize that the inner me has been your enemy. That inner me has been your enemy. And we're going to walk side by side and enable you to get beyond that pain of those traumatic situations that may have taken place in your life. And that's a myriad of things that we might be covering. But as we go through our constructive, informative, and enlightening content, I guarantee you that if you hang out with us, you are going to begin to see results almost immediately. Now, let me be clear. I don't want to make any promises that I can't keep. In fact, I'm not going to even make any suggestions to you that either myself or my guests have not done. I make it a point to vet them up front to ensure that they have proof of the things that they're going to share with us so that we don't get a bunch of hype, a bunch of mystical, mysterious things that might work, but might not work. No, we're going to have people that come to you that have proven track records, proven methodologies, proven techniques that are going to make it easy for you to realize that recovery, redemption, and restoration is just a matter of you paying attention, you being willing to do the work, and you also being able to get to a place of open honesty with the most important person on the planet, which is you. If you've been that person that's been looking to your left, looking to your right, wondering about, well, oh my God, what are they going to say? Oh, how are they going to respond? Well, newsflash. One of the key things that I picked up on my journey is other people's opinion is not your business. If you're willing to address the inner me, stop pointing fingers at everybody else. Stop thinking about how is it that the views, the opinions, the suggestions from those outside of you who have never walked in your shoes are thinking, interacting, and conversing about. Now is your time. With the Back from Broken Nation, I guarantee that if you are willing to tune in every single week for our episodes, take copious notes, because we guarantee we're going to actually be providing you with some things that you want to be able to go back and revisit. Things that you might want to tuck away into your little smartphone, perhaps even pick up an audio that you can listen to on the way to work, while you're working out. We're going to make it easy for you and make certain that the information that we share is provided to you in multiple mediums, easy access, however it is that you best consume that life-changing content that's going to enable you to realize recovery, redemption, and restoration if you're willing to win. And I promise you this, if you are willing to tune in every single week to this channel, to be able to get the insight, the guidance, the wisdom, make comments, and also make sure that we are held accountable to the things that we share, we want to invite your suggested topics so that we make certain that we are spot on with the things that you need in order to propel to that next higher version of yourself. One of my mentors say, don't let what you want to say get in the way of what the people need to hear. And I'm 100% committed to that. And I guarantee that as we move through this journey, if there's something that's not quite working to the expectations of our customers, then we're going to make the adjustments necessary to ensure that the time you spend with us is maximized. The time that you spend with us is getting you results. The time that you spend with us is something that you will never, ever regret. So I tell you what, I can't wait to see you on the inside of all of our respective programming. And as always, I'd be remiss if I didn't leave you with this. Good, better, best. We can't let it rest. until our good is our better and our better is our best. And if you will commit to do the work, tune in regularly, and make certain that you are up for the task of Back from Broken Nation, boy, stop. We might just see you at the top because the bottom's entirely too crowded. It's your man, Dr. Ed, and I can't wait to see you on the inside.
All right. So oops. Okay, technical challenge. The devil is a liar. So our break is at 10:30, and so we had a little cross wires there, but that's okay because I love the engagement that was happening over in Clubhouse. It was a little premature, but that's okay. So if you didn't hear the mission, we'll play it again later on, but I get the chance because I was sitting back in the green room munching on muffins and drinking coffee, and I was like, ooh, I want to come talk to Auntie. So as long as God would have it, here we are. And oh my God, I can't think of a more appropriate tone to have kicked this thing off with the amazing truth tellers and speakers that we're going to have. And I just want to say thank you because the speaker interviews were shut down, y'all. And this queen, God dropped this queen in our life, this auntie in our life. And y'all know I refer to everybody as king and queen, but Auntie Millicent and Uncle Ed, oh, it's about to be something serious. Y'all don't even understand what is just taking place. Because I told most of you guys, most of you know that Cinco de Mayo 2022 is the planned exit day. So if you're a praying person, pray. But the windows of heaven done open up, and I can't even conceive the things that he is doing right now. And so, Auntie, when you are engaging in that process of letting it go, because the whole purpose of the Back from Broken movement is that recovery, restoration, and redemption. And sometimes saying let it go is much easier said than done. So what has been your biggest, this is a little extended bonus coverage for y'all because we had some minor fallouts at the last minute. So we just doing a little improvised. I already told y'all, well, the internal team knows we building this airplane as we fly this joint. So just get in for the ride, get in where you fit in. But what is the biggest aha or the most powerful thing that you've seen as far as helping people to let it go?
That's really a good question. And you're right. It's easy to say, well, just let it go. Get over it.
Right.
You know, just move on. But there's two parts of the equation. There's letting go, which is the release. There's the release, which we need to have. And that only comes when we can acknowledge what has happened. So the truth has to be told, and the story needs to be told, and it needs to be told in the appropriate context. And then there's the moving on part, which is like, what's the new vision for your future and for your life? So it's a two-part equation. You know, what am I moving on to now? Now that I've released and let that go, I've created a clearing. Now, what are we going to? A new possibility, a new life, a new relationship. So let me just give you a little example here in my own life. I've been married 3 times. It's kind of following in my mom's footsteps because that was a model, right? I was like, oh gosh, you know. So my first marriage was a young marriage. My children are from that marriage. The second one, total recipe for disaster. That's the whole thing that led me to prison. You know, relationships, boy, they can get you messed up, right?
Okay.
But when we're not in a right relationship with ourselves, and when we're not in a relationship with our creator, the divine, our source, therein lies the problem.
Okay.
So there's a lot that has to be restored, actually. Our perception of ourselves, our relationship with our creator, our source, and understanding who we are as children of the divine.
Right.
Because when we don't have that right relationship and those perceptions, then we're subject to all kinds of choices and situations. And I was just getting involved in all kinds of things.
All kinds of stuff.
And in survival mode on top of it all. So people make lots of bad choices when they're in survival mode. So we're impoverished mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and then of course financially. And then we're just doing things. Oh my God, we're just out here, just crazy.
Right.
So we've just got to come back to the center, and we need support doing that. So it's easy to say let it go and move on, but we need a community. We need coaching. We need therapy. We need love. I've been involved in therapy, coaching, all kinds of self-help, you name it. And all of it has been good for me, every single bit of it. So we need that, and we need it to be delivered in a way that's non-judgmental.
But I was listening to you, and I've been listening to a lot of your stuff in the short time that we've known each other. And one of the things that you said is that the journey is necessary, but it may not be pretty.
Oh, right.
And I'm paraphrasing because she does it so much more eloquently and with theatrics. Even I was telling her this morning when she came into the green room, she like a straight up thespian on the stage. I mean, she pulls you in. But when you get to that place where you really want to make the change, but the conditions or the people around you don't support, encourage, and actually applaud that paradigm shift, that physical change. What do you, if you've encountered any of those people, because I know I have encountered a few on my journey that just can't let go of the peeps. Pookie and them just got a grip on. So how do you, and I mean, I get it. I mean, when you come from a tight-knit hood,
Yeah.
I'm gonna just keep it real. I'm the urban leadership strategist for a reason. So I get the hood. But at some point, you got to detach, and I had to get to a place where I still love my boys, my homies, but I can't do what they do. I can't sit on a stoop and ante up on 40 ounces no more. So how do you help people as you're coaching them to really realize that even some people that are very close to us might have to go?
That's right.
How
But
do you do that?
You just said the key word. You said detach. And so we don't think of, often we think of detachment as a negative thing, but it's actually a positive thing. And it's actually virtue. Learning how to release, how to let go. Because every tub sits on its own bottom.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here and I got to account for this and for what I do during this little short time frame on this planet. So we have to detach from others so that we can get connected to our own mission and our own purpose for being on this planet. Everybody is on this planet to do something. You showed up for a unique purpose. Well, what is that? And often others that are floundering, and they can get in the way of us realizing, what is my purpose? What potentials do I need to develop so I can really fulfill and live into that? That's a process. Learning how to detaching from family, detaching from the old crew. I had a crew as a wrecking crew, and I had to realize, wow, this is not who I want to be ultimately. So I want to just tell you quickly that I said as my first marriage, young marriage, second marriage, recipe for disaster. My third marriage, my husband and I have been together for over 20 years. And by the way, we've never had an argument.
Can you
in
believe
over
that?
20 years.
Can you believe that?
Now, see, some people
That's
say,
amazing.
One lady said to me, she said, that sounds kind of phony to me.
I ain't gonna lie, Auntie. When I first heard it, I was kind of like skeptical myself. I was like, none?
I said,
not even one?
And I said to her, I was like, I know, that's crazy. I said, you know why? I said, because you've never seen a model of it, have you? You've never seen a model of somebody who decided, I want to live in harmony with you and grow with you. But we don't have to do that with negativity and drama. Ain't nobody got to be shouting and raising their voices. So I decided in my now marriage, my third marriage, who I wanted to be. Who I said, well, I don't really know what a healthy relationship looks like. But if I did, what would that be for me?
Right.
Okay, let me think about this. How about no cursing, no drama? Nobody's raising their voices, hitting hands. The hands are not for hitting, by the way. So what would that look like? And who do I need to be to attract that into my life? So I decided who I wanted to be: kind, loving, honest, helpful, supportive. I decided the kind of woman and the kind of wife that I wanted to be, because I know what I didn't want to be. I've seen lots of models of I don't want to be that woman. It's like, oh my God, please, he's giving all women a bad name. Right. Let's not do that anymore. So I made some decisions about who I wanted to be. And my husband was in that same place in terms of his journey. I want to be loving and kind and supportive. And so we made a conscious decision, two conscious people coming together saying, let's do this. Let's really be in a relationship with one another where I am being my best self and I'm bringing out the best in you. Wow. So my goal is, how can I love you a little bit more each day? How can I make sure I put a smile on your face? When I was coming over here this morning, my husband was like, wait, don't go. He's like, I need to pull over right here. I need to check and put some air in that tire right there. The love languages, okay, acts of service. So we understand those things, like the love languages. Are you familiar with the 5 love languages? Absolutely phenomenal. Yeah. Another book, another set of teachings that enrich our lives because it improves our communication. I understand his love language, he gets mine, and we make sure that we speak to each other's love language. So it's important, and it's possible to live without drama. Now, I didn't say we didn't have conflict. Stuff happens, problems, life. You know, we're a blended family. We got kids. I have a son. He suffers with schizophrenia. Boy, do we have issues. But it's how we handle the issues. It's how we deal with each other in the midst of those changes. That's what makes the difference.
That's powerful, you know, because I'm glad that you said you still have situations, but the conscious choice for both of you all and how you deal with it does not evolve into a volcanic eruption on either side. That's I'm gonna keep a camera, so I'm gonna post a camera up watching you and King Greg, because just watching them together, it's just peaceful and tranquil, and I'm like, wow, that's just, I mean, it's a model, and like you said, we oftentimes don't see healthy models.
Right.
And when we're subjected to varying models of dysfunction, what goes into our ear gates, our eye gates, it embeds itself into our subconscious. And until we make an intentional effort to do something different, it's all about conditioning. It's all about what do you give your attention to? What like you said, you guys made a decision to actually say, okay, no. Because this wasn't your guys' first rodeo, neither of you guys' first rodeo.
My second marriage, my first.
Yeah.
I mean, my third. And as I said, everything's about communication, relationships, and choices.
Love it.
We made a choice. We made a decision, as you said.
Okay.
This is how we are going to abide with one another. Because are we supposed to be in this to grow together? Should this be holy matrimony, not hellish matrimony?
Man, I've had. You try to start something up there, Auntie. I'm gonna behave.
I've been there. Okay.
I know, right?
It took me to a very dark place.
Hello.
Right? So
Hello.
I know. I don't mind sharing that because we got to keep it.
There's healing. There's healing there if you are willing to get the lesson.
Yes.
And I think that's several of our speakers illuminate that point, is that the different obstacles or challenges that we go through are not happening to us. They're happening for us.
And which is why I say I've had 3 successful marriages, because I grew from all of them. They were all different.
Yeah.
And instead of saying I had 2 failed marriages, I had 3 successful marriages. See, we get to reframe our lives and put it in perspective. What did I learn from this? What were the gifts and the blessings and the lessons that came out of that? Of which there were many, and not all pretty, and not easy lessons. But the point is, ultimately, in hindsight, when we can step away and look back on it and say, wow, you know what? I learned some really important things, and not making the other bad and wrong, because they played an important role in my development.
Sure.
And I played a role in their development as well. Yeah. So it's important to be able to reframe.
Yo, guys, we're going to keep having Auntie around, just like she said, many times, because Auntie Millicent, Uncle Ed, we got some work to do to further the mission of transformation and helping people to work through their respective situations. Their AFGA's, another fine growth opportunity. Did I get it right?
Yes, AFGO.
AFGO.
Another fine or another fabulous growth opportunity. So whatever happens is just another fabulous growth opportunity.
It's another fabulous growth opportunity. Y'all know how I roll. Auntie gets credit for that one like twice, and then it's like that's gonna have to be part of the arsenal. I absolutely love that. And so here's what we want to do: we want to recognize and thank the people that are hanging out with us in Clubhouse, and also let you know that registration is still open. So if you would like to see versus merely hear, all you have to do is simply go over to backfrombrokensummit.com, reserve your free seat, and you can get on the train for the visual ride for the rest of the way in. Now, don't get me wrong. We are still going to, as you can see, we've got a number of our amazing featured speakers, our regular Back from Broken family in the building. So we are making sure to split our time and energies in both platforms. But we're just wanting, again, as we always do, want to make sure that you have the maximum opportunity that you desire, because we don't want to get in the way of what we think should take place. So want to welcome to the room Brother Amari, Woodrow, Gregory, Tanasha. Whoa, that's a powerful woman of God. I was in the in the gratitude room they do every day at 8 a.m. It starts at 8 a.m. Oh my God, I got a chance to hear her speak and encourage and edify some folk. And this, there's some great spaces on Clubhouse. There's also some not so nice places. And I'm very cautious as to where I spend my time. And so when I do enter a space that is blessing me, I want to make sure that I pay that back or pay it forward. And so Sister Queen Tanasha, thank you so much. Sister Queen Eli, Lincoln, Isabella, Sheila, Patrick, Tanika, welcome back. No stranger to the Back from Broken Club. Tanisha, hey, Nicole, with your amazing self. What's going on? Sister Queen Ariel, hey, guys, I need to go on record and shout out this amazing addition to the Back from Broken media team. Just on board less than a month and making a huge impact. A lot of times when you send an email to support at We Rise Media or admin at We Rise Media, typically the people that are responding to that are Sherry and Ariel. And so just want to give people their flowers because, again, without the amazing team and the extended team, the things that you're seeing evolve in the Back from Broken movement would not be possible. And I do not take that for granted. And the thing that I know as a leader and a servant leader is I want to build and develop other leaders and have those around me. I'm not into followers and subordinates. I want other powerful people around me because they tend to challenge me. They keep me tight with all of the different things that we all have going on. And I'm getting to that point of being a tad bit mature. I don't use the O word. That just is not something I'm embracing at all. But I got a few anniversaries under my belt. But that being said, really want to just thank you all for both out there in Facebook land, on YouTube, as well as here inside of the Clubhouse. Couple of things that we do want to ask upon you, because my favorite book, the undisputed #1 bestseller, says we have not because we ask not. So what we really want to do in order to be able to have maximum impact for those that may not be able to tune in live, as you take notes or grab the wisdom bombs that are being dropped and will continuously be dropped, drop a little note inside the comment, pay it forward for someone else who might not be quite as attentive as you are. And so it's a giving economy that we're trying to build here in the Back from Broken Nation, because what we know is this: if you help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you need. And so with that being said, let's model that behavior.
Yes.
Modeling is important.
Yes.
And so if people see that we're paying it forward, they'll be more inclined to do so as well. Share this to your tribes, to your respective groups, not trying to impede upon anybody's territory, but just trying to help. Because right now, at such a time as this, everybody needs a little extra help. And so that being said, we just want to say thank you again. We're going to actually play the invitation for those of you that might be inside of Clubhouse. And for those of you that are out there on Facebook land, you've probably seen it before, but you can't play it enough because it is just really getting to the point of why is it that you might want to attend this summit. And then we're going to come back after that. We're supposed to have Dr. Ramsu up next. So we're going to play it by ear. So our next speaker is scheduled to be here at 9:30. But I do need to actually go to an appointment that I'm late for, but the summit is more important. So they're going to have to wait. But I do need to be somewhat conscious of that. So after this plays, we're going to come back, and Auntie Millicent and Brother Joseph are going to chop it up just a little bit more until our 9:30 speaker shows up. So we appreciate you guys. We'll see you and talk to you a little bit later on. But we're going to go ahead and give the invitation so that, again, if you know that there's 1, 2, 3, 10 people that might benefit from the plethora of wisdom that is going to be shared over the course of these next 2 days. It's still early. It's just 9:15 Eastern. Thank you for those global partners that are joining. It may be 5, 6, 10 hours ahead. And we definitely want to appreciate and applaud you for either staying up very late or getting up very early. We cover an entire clock because our core of speakers are global in nature as well. So that being said, we're going to go ahead and play the invitation, and then we'll get you guys. Hold on. Nope, that ain't right. Might help. if we do
this
it.
amazing opportunity to take yourself from stuck to amazing. We are super duper excited that you have made probably the best decision you could possibly make in the last.
Okay, went to the wrong place. So forgive me. Airplane development is taking place. But you know what? Today, I can be okay with making a mistake and not feel dejected. I can let it go and move on. Ooh, ooh.
Ligma.
Holla if you hear me. Uh-oh, now they talking about a... All right, Brother Sean, are you up for the... It's saying something is wrong with that. Let me try it again. If at first you don't succeed, try again. Because it played earlier, so let me try it one more time. Send it. It's talking about some conversion. All right, so tell you what. I was going to try to do a smooth transition, but y'all just going to have to watch the live transition take place. So I'm going to bring my brother Joseph in here and just let him and Auntie Millicent kick it again until about 9:30 when Dr. Clayton Ramsey will be your next keynote speaker. And in between time, we are chopping it up again. Thank you very much on Facebook, YouTube, and Clubhouse. I'll be back. Brother Joe, all right. Switch your route, brother.
Well, we're back.
We're back.
We're back. We're back. What you want to talk about, Millicent?
I'd like to talk about something that you said, because when you talk about when your mom said that your tongue hadn't caught up,
My
with
brain,
your brain
and my mouth hadn't caught each other yet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now that's significant, actually.
Yeah.
Because we all know that we think a lot faster than we can speak.
Mm-hmm.
Like, have you ever like tripped all over
Mm-hmm.
yourself? You know, like you had all these thoughts and you wanted to get out of here, like. So the brain is really incredible. It's a supercomputer. So understand that you got a supercomputer on your neck. You keep it with you all the time, okay? You got one in your hand too. You keep your phone with you. That's a little supercomputer too. But these minds, the ones that we own, they construct and create these supercomputers and all these technologies and devices that we work with.
Mm-hmm.
So all of this is an outpicturing of what's going on in here. We're super smart. We're all geniuses. We have genius ability. Everybody has genius capability. In fact, there's a guy named Buckminster Fuller. He said, we're all born geniuses, but the process of living de-geniuses us.
Mm.
How about that?
Mm.
So something happened and there was a trauma or something happened, and I don't know what that is necessarily.
Right.
But then something occurred inside of your neural network, okay, that created some hiccups, all right, and you weren't able to communicate effectively, but it didn't mean you weren't smart. So when your mom said to you, hey, your mouth just hadn't caught up with your brain right yet, she was absolutely correct.
Yeah.
She was absolutely correct. Now, but the same holds true for most of us, even those who do speak fluidly. We still have to understand that maybe your brain hadn't caught up with your mouth yet. And our mouth can't speak as fast as we can think. And so with the photo reading process, learning how to process information faster and better is essential because we live in the information age. But the first thing it starts with understanding how does your brain work?
Yeah.
Because, you know, what do they teach us in school? They teach us subjects, don't they?
Right.
English and history and
Yep.
economics and so forth. We learn about subjects in school, but nobody teaches you about yourself.
Mm.
Nobody says, hey, Joe, you're a genius. Let me show you how your brain works.
Right.
And open that thing up and explain it to you to break it down and say, dude, you're powerful.
Right.
You're amazing. You have a brain. It works, actually. And we're
Right.
going to show you how to work it.
Wow.
They don't. It's all about learn this subject, pass this test, and, of course, get a job. That's the traditional model that we live inside of.
Mm-hmm.
Go to school, go to work, get a job, pay bills, right?
Mm-hmm.
And rinse and repeat. Get up the next day and do it again.
Right.
When life is about so much more than that. It's really about our evolution,
Mm-hmm.
our continuous evolution.
Mm-hmm.
What I love about this summit is that this is about breakthroughs. Breaking through the limitations, breaking through the barriers, the woundedness that keeps us from expressing that genius, that which thou art. divine, capable, powerful, unique,
Yeah.
one of a kind miracles of the universe. That's what this summit is about. And that's
Yeah.
why I'm so excited to be a part of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's phenomenal in that, you know, today is going to be an opportunity for a lot of people to get that breakthrough,
Yeah.
to get that moment, to get that time of breakthrough that they need. And that's why it's so important. That's why I love speakers. I love what they do. I love what they bring to the table. But as you and I know, there are a lot of hurting people out here
Yes,
that don't quite understand how to maneuver through this maze that we call life. And I think today is going to be one of those days where some people are going to find some information that's going to help them, you know, get out of that rut,
Yeah.
to let average go, to let it go and move on, you know?
Yes, and I want all of the speakers to know that sometimes when I'm driving down the expressway and I just see other people in their cars and they're going about their routines, or I see them in the stores and the malls just going from A to B, and I look at them with a spirit of compassion because I can see the woundedness, Joe.
Yeah.
I can see the pain on people's faces often, and they don't have the answers. They're looking for it. I saw a woman yesterday at Walmart. I was returning something, and this woman was returning some things, and she was showing out. And it was a line of people, and it was a part of me that wanted to say, I'll come back. But this part of me said, no, stand here and watch. And I was just witness to the pain and also the frustration. And all of us in line for about 15 minutes watched this one transaction that was ridiculous. And not in a spirit of judgment, but it was ridiculous. We all stood there and watched it.
Mm.
And we had to be with that, you know, while we waited our turn to make our transaction inside of the human experience. People are suffering. And I want you to know that whatever you're offering in terms of your message, people need it,
Yeah.
because people are hurting everywhere and they don't know how to communicate effectively. I saw a breakdown yesterday. It was ridiculous. And the way this woman acted and the way she treated the Walmart employees, and two of them were fumbling and they were going through changes to try to satisfy her. It was one, she had several bags in a basket in one of those carts, and she went through changes and just to witness that. But then I was with her pain. I was like, wow, check that out.
Yeah.
She's in pain. She doesn't know how to communicate effectively. She's coming unglued on these people. She's dumping on them. And then I was in compassionate understanding for the Walmart employees. I was like,
yeah.
the hell these people must go through, you know, dealing with other people's woundedness.
Yes.
So realize that what we're offering here in this Back from Broken is really important. It's timely. It's needed more so now than ever.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, you mentioned healing, and I heard a quote that's so powerful. And it says, if you don't heal from the thing that hurt you, you'll bleed on the people that didn't cut you.
My God.
You know,
Yes.
if we don't heal from the things that have hurt us, we'll bleed on the people that had nothing to do with our pain, nothing to do with our hurt. So, you know, that healing mechanism is so important. And people have got to be able to embrace that. We've got to get out of the woe is me. We've got to get out of the playing the victim. You're not the victim. You have the victory. You know what I'm saying? And so you gotta pursue healing in every area of your life. And, you know, that's just so important.
Yeah. And it's not that we haven't been victimized. As if you saw my segment, you know, I talked about that, and there's a distinction, and I do training on that. Sometimes we are victimized. I've been victimized. I've had a lot of stuff happen to me, but I don't play the victim role.
Right.
Again, we reframe it. It's, you know, after the fact. Certainly we're looking at the situation and say, what are my lessons in that? And what can I do to prevent that from happening to me ever again? You know, how am I supposed to grow from this experience and not let it shut me down? One of the other simply ridiculous behaviors that I didn't get to share, because I only shared a few of them, was something called withholding. Withholding is where you have a wounding event, something happens to you, somebody, you know, like betrays you, backstabbers, you know, whatever happens. And then you build up a wall. You build up a wall around yourself. And because often we do that, and we get into a thing of, you know, I can't trust people. People don't mean you any good, you know.
Yeah.
And we want to be careful about that, because everything that happens is for our growth. It's another fabulous growth opportunity. And we want to make sure that we get the lesson and that we remain open, though.
Yeah.
Because if I was hurt in a relationship, Joe,
Mhm.
and then I built a wall up around myself, then I would never open myself up to the possibility of loving again,
Right.
because I didn't trust people.
Right.
And men are nothing. They're no good. You know, then it's, oh my God, I would never receive the blessing of the loving relationship that I'm in now. So be careful about that, building up those walls and that barrier, you know, to communicating. And that happens very often.
Yeah. I wonder, you know, what, you know, and again, when I talk about, you know, the fact that we have the victory. We're not, you know, we're not the victim anymore. And as you said, it's not that we've not gone through stuff.
Right.
We've all experienced stuff, but you can't stay there.
There you go.
You got to get out of it.
There you go.
And some of the stuff that we've gone through is of no fault of our own.
No.
Some are self-imposed.
Oh my God.
Others of what others have imposed upon us. That's why I think you got to be real careful in terms of who you bring into your future, who you take into your future with you, who you take with you to your destiny, because not everybody is meant to go there with you. And
But
so,
wait, can we talk about self-imposed?
absolutely.
Okay, so I call that sin, S-I-N, which means self-imposed nonsense.
Mm,
Because I know most of the stuff that I dealt with was like the result of the old choices, the choices that I made.
mhm.
I followed the leaders and they weren't leading me in the right direction. And I engaged in such and such a behavior. And I did this and I did that. And there were consequences.
Yeah.
And it was my stuff. It was my own self-imposed nonsense. And when I made that decision, it's like, I'm not hanging out with them anymore. I just stop answering the phone.
Right.
I don't even give an answer or an explanation. I just like, I don't want to say cut people off because it's not like I thought like I'm cutting you off kind of thing. It was just more like blessings. You know?
Yeah.
I wish you well, you know,
Yeah.
and peace be unto you. And
Yeah.
I'm going over here. And so I start tuning into my intuition and going in a different direction. I'm reading books and listening to messages and attending workshops and seminars that started to expand me. And then I exposed myself to a whole new realm of people.
Yeah.
And I know you know about that,
Yeah.
right? A whole
Absolutely.
new group of people.
And you know what you said is so important. It's not that we cut people off, but I like to say it like this. I've just decided to avoid the company of unenthusiastic people.
How about that?
Right? So if you're not excited about life, you ain't trying to win in life, you
Right.
got the woe is me, then I'm probably not the guy for you.
Right.
I'm going to probably just irritate you because I want to win and I want to be around winners. I want to be around winning attitudes because you don't have to have arrived at your destination to be able to start your winning process. It starts with your attitude.
That's right.
Like, what attitude are you waking up with this morning? And I talk about that a lot, you know, of course, with my message of let average go. But I think it's important who you surround yourself from. Because if you ever been around somebody that when you get done being in the present, you just feel drained. You just feel like, right? So you want to be around people who motivate, who inspire you
And,
to go to the next level.
and
Yeah,
everybody who come along ain't going where you're going. That's all we
absolutely.
have to
Right.
know. It's just
Right.
like, oh wow, it's nice to meet you.
Right.
You
We
know,
got to
keep
stop
it
thinking we
moving.
got to take everybody
Right,
with
exactly.
us.
Not gonna happen. Not in my world.
Nope, not in this world. But with you guys, again, we're just super excited about, you know, what's taking place today. Super excited about having the opportunity to express and to share our story of what, you know, what is taking place in our lives. And as I said before, everybody has a story. Everybody has a message. You got to find your message, live out your story, and live your best life now, because your now is not your next.
No, it's not.
Your next only happens when you make preparation for it,
Yes.
right? So what we do now is not your next.
Next
Your,
opportunity.
your next opportunity is going to happen for you when you make preparation for it.
Can
So,
we read some of these comments?
Sure.
Okay, so Marla says, let it go, move on. That's my new life theme. Yes, thank you so much. Somebody else said, are you withholding or building a wall? Yes, indeed. I mean, that is so important for us to look at. Another fabulous growth important. Life is how you handle it and how are you responding. Yes, thank you so much for the comments. We appreciate that. And there's so many that are coming in. It's like, whoa, kind of hard to keep up with it all. But I thank you so much for your participation.
Mhm.
And I'm really excited about the next speaker too.
Yeah, I am too.
Oh my God. It's
Yeah.
like, I'm ready to buckle
Yeah.
up. It's like,
Yeah.
woo!
Yeah.
And there's quality here. Quality of people of like and light mind. People that are illuminating the truth of what their story is and their experience and what they've learned and how that can serve the greater good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's really a beautiful thing. isn't it?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So we're just waiting on the next speaker to come. And again, if you guys have any questions or any thoughts, put them in the comment section. We'll read them, you know, as we go along. But Millicent and I are super, super excited about the opportunity to be able to be before you all, to be in this space,
Yes.
to be able to share with you guys, because any of the other participants on here could be doing the same thing that we're doing, because everybody on here is qualified to do this. And so
That's
I'm
right.
just super, super excited about, I'm excited about life.
What I'm excited about is we get to reinvent ourselves and we also get to share our skills with others to help up level them too.
Hmm.
So it's a continuous journey of evolution. So I think about how everything is evolving. And what I really like is our technology is evolving in such a way that we can communicate. This is a new platform for me, Clubhouse is. I'm so glad you invited me to it. I'm like, wow, this is interesting. And so, but we want to make sure we're in the right conversations, as Dr. Ed says,
Yes.
and let go of the rest. Just
Yes.
bless it, let it go. That's not for me.
Yeah.
And it's just like this path that we see behind us here in the image here, this road, okay, and it's leading somewhere.
Yeah.
And there is light back there, down there at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
So let's just keep our minds focused on the things we want and off the things we don't want. Looks like some other comments came in here. Can you talk about the other letters of average? Oh my God, can you break that down? The average.
Yeah,
Break
I'm
that
you know,
down.
of course, I'm going to do all of it at 3:00. So,
Okay.
you know, I don't want to let too much out the hat, because then nobody will come at 3:00 and watch. But, you know, during the interview, I did the AVG, which is the abbreviation of average, which is, you know, adopt a positive attitude,
Yes.
value your time. And then the G was guard your goals.
Yes.
But what I will do, so the 7 principles are: adopt a positive attitude, value your time, enlist the help of a mentor, read daily, anticipate opposition, guard your goals, and empower your belief system. So at 3:00, when I come on, I'm going to break those down for the 20 minutes that I have to really show you and teach you how to let average go, to leave mediocrity in the dust and take control of your life and say yes to yourself. It's time for you to say yes to yourself. And so I'm super excited about that coming at 3:00.
You know, and can we talk about read daily?
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, like reading is my thing, right? So I love the fact that you're a reader. And that's one of the bonds that, you know, makes a difference. Because, you know, I'll come over with a book and I'll say, oh, let me read this to you. So if you're in a relationship with me, I'm going to read to you all the time. Well, let me read to you this. And sharing information. And I love the fact that you read. And I also love the way you process information and that you take it, you simplify it. For those of you who do not know, Joseph B. Washington is also a pastor. And his sermons are so beautiful and so simple and so powerful and rich. And usually he'll take something and he'll break it down in a word. And then he'll give the 5 keys or the 3 steps or the 7 steps to something, how to pray effectively, the 5 steps to prayer or something. And so beautiful. And then tie all the scriptures through it in it's such a beautiful, elegant thread in the conversation and the way he ministers. It's so practical and so beautiful. My husband, we hang out every Sunday with Pastor Joe and his wife, Wendy. So I love the fact that you're a reader.
Yes.
And the way you process information and then the way you serve it back in your ministering really thrills my soul, which is why we hang out with you guys. We're like, oh my God, this little church is for us.
Yeah, you know, and that was one of the things that helped me in my road to begin to articulate. Because my mother would make me read out loud.
Yes.
She would make me hear my voice.
Yes.
And then she would tell me, slow down. Practice doesn't make perfect, but it makes better, Joseph.
Yeah.
Right. And then I had these cue cards. And so there was an amazing journey that we went through to teach me this process of going from the woo-woo boy to woo-woo when I get them checks in corporate America. Yeah.
Woo-woo.
Yeah. I see that we have Dr. Rasmu in the in the holding area. Doc, hold on for 1 second. We're gonna bring you in and get started. Give us about 30 seconds, Doc.
Welcome and thank you. So everybody get your pens and paper, or as Dr. Womack says, you know, whatever your favorite form of digital communication is, you can take notes. Remember, reading, writing, speaking, and listening, and you want to be able to take notes on what you're hearing. So you're listening, but you're active in your listening. You're not just a passive receiver of what's being said. And I've got my little notebook. Let me grab it because I want to show you that I do practice what I preach. Okay, I've got my notebook here. Oh, it's green, so it's not showing up there. But I've got it, and I love taking notes on the things I hear. So here we go.
You guys wrapped up?
Yeah, we're
wrapping
wrapping
up now.
You need to pay attention to the Instagram chat that you're a part of. They've been trying to message you, but you're not looking at your phone. You're
I
a
don't
part
know.
of the Instagram chat.
Okay, so how do we're going to bring him in now?
Sean will take care of playing Dr. Ramsu, and then you'll be interviewing Dr. Ramsu afterwards.
Okay, and his questions will be okay.
Didn't you not have access to the Here's his questions.
Okay, and this is the what they use. You said my Instagram. You said I'm a part of something.
A part of there's a BFB moderators chat. That's moderators only. There's a BFB summit chat. Oh, you got a request over here tonight. So this is the summit mods chat. That's the one that you need to accept because that's the primary communication channel for the moderators.
Okay.
Okay. So we just sit here and wait.
I guess we should know
Let me see how that works.
I just learned something new.
He's not seeing the message.
Did you mute? Still saying they can hear you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Mark Ramsey, and welcome to Back from Broken. I'm glad to be joining you today. I'd like to thank Dr. Womack and his staff for inviting me. This is an important topic, extremely important topic, because I think that there's several reasons why we should be here today. And thank you again for joining me. What I want you to know is that in spite of, you can still win. Now, Dr. Womack and I have been doing this for quite some time. Actually, we met approximately 10 or 11 years ago at a speaking engagement. So we've been doing this, and we've been trying to encourage people just like you for quite some period of time. So what I want you to think about right now, have you been told so many things that you doubt your own judgment, that you doubt yourself, that you're not good enough, you're not strong enough, you're not educated enough, you did not come from the right side of the tracks? You've been told all those things, and over time, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You start believing that advertisement. It's marketing, just like anything else, just like Nike and Louis and all those other brands that we find and that for some reason we gravitate to, but we don't know why. It's marketing. They've gotten into your head. And when they've gotten into your head, they can control your behavior and they can control your emotions. We have to learn how to combat that. And we're going to learn that some of that and some of those techniques today. It's all about programming and belief. As you've been programmed to think negative before you think positively. You think about, I can't before I can. You think, I'll fail before you think I win. Now let's just look at this from a very logical perspective. And when we look at it from a logical perspective, if you don't believe in you, who else will? Now, that may seem extremely simple, extremely straightforward, and maybe even a tad bit oversimplified. But it's how we think. It's how our society views this particular time. So how do we combat that? Well, we start with trying to surround ourselves by positive people. You have to surround yourself by those people who think like you think and are trying to go places where you are going. People often say, well, an eagle can't learn to fly if they hang around chickens. That's true. So you have to be around like-minded people who will bring out the best in you. But even before that, you have to believe and bring out the best in yourself. You have to believe that you can win at any cost, at any measure, that you have the ability to do so. And why do I even say that? So you ask me, you say, Dr. Ramsey, can everybody win? Everybody wasn't supposed to win. Well, everybody should be able to win at some point in their lives. That's the way we're constructed, but we spend so much time running away from our abilities. We spend time running away from our gifts. We spend time running away from who we really are. So Mark Twain says that there are two significant times in your life: the day you were born and the day you find out why. And a lot of us haven't found out our why. So the question now is, how do you feel about yourself? What kind of advertisement do you give yourself every day? Because success is not a one-time thing. You can't just wake up one day and say, I'm going to be successful today, and it automatically happens. Success is rented, and the rent is due every day. So this is a daily fight. If we look at it from a spiritual standpoint, we're told to renew ourselves in our spirit daily. This is exactly the same thing. What advertisements are you telling yourself? Positive affirmation works just as much as negative affirmation works. If you're telling yourself you can, you will, you must, eventually you can, you will, and you must. So we have to remember those things when we're going about our daily routines. And it is a routine. How do you start your day? How do you welcome yourself into the world? How does the world receive and perceive you when you enter it? Those things are important. That perception of you and how you bring yourself are important. So we start with a daily routine. I'll give you an example of mine. My daily routine is, I wake up 5:45. I pray, I meditate, I go work out, take a shower, hit my office, and before I do anything, I read my success book. Now, everyone can call it something different. Some people call it a journal. Some people call it, a self-proclaiming modification book. But it is positive affirmations of where not only I am, but where I see myself going. You have to have vision. And you may ask, well, how do I even achieve that vision? Sometimes you've already been given that. You have dreams, don't you? Because if you were here, that means you have dreams, you have goals, you have aspirations that you want to do better, and you know you can. But the question is, how do I make those first steps? First step is by believing in yourself. If you do not believe in yourself, no one else can believe in you. Why would they? If you were a betting person and someone told you that they can't possibly win a race, why would you back that person? It makes sense. So let's do things that are logical. Starting today, starting tomorrow morning, after you hear this, you're going to write a positive affirmation about yourself. As a matter of fact, we're going to start right now. So I know this is virtual, but I can still see you. So everyone, repeat after me. I am worthy of success. I can win. Go ahead, say it. I will win. That's how we start our mornings. Where do you want to go? Do you even know where you want to go? Do you have a plan? If you don't have a plan or a roadmap for your success, then there are times that you're going to be lost. That's just human nature. If you're trying to go from Atlanta to New York and you don't have directions and you don't have GPS, then you're probably going to get lost. You're probably not going to take the most direct route. And oftentimes, those periods in our lives are not direct routes. They come with trials. They come with circumstances. They come with tribulations. So one thing we also have to believe is that you are enough right now. And if you don't believe that, then let's unpack all that. Let's find out why. Let's talk about those things that you've been told that you believe in what I call the ghost killing session. And in our ghost killing session, we're going to deal with all those things that we've been told over time, sometimes 10 years ago, 15, 20, sometimes even 40 years ago. I'll give you an example. The example is probably with me. When I was in high school, I was told that probably college was not a good option for me. And why? Because I was a class clown. I didn't know how to deal with adversity. And the way I dealt with adversity was through humor. Now, also, let's be transparent. I did not have the greatest grades in the world. But that's because I wasn't motivated to do so, because I didn't believe. My parents believed in me. They gave me positive words of affirmation. but I did not believe in myself. So until you believe, you're not going to accomplish what you need to accomplish. So let's go back and let's unpack some of those self-fulfilling prophecies, some of what I call self-check. It's a sports term that we use in basketball, where that says that you don't have the confidence that you feel as though that you can make this shot. So why should I even defend you? Why should I even guard you? Why should I even pay any attention to you? I shouldn't, because you don't believe you can make the shot. So what is the language of self-check? I can't. I'm not smart enough. They don't let people like me do that. I've never seen anyone that looks like me, especially in today's circumstances, that has done that. So my question back to you is, why can't you be the first? And what does that got to do with you? You see, people, comparison kills. When you compare yourself to what has already transpired, what has already happened, sometimes that gives you limitations. You put limitations on yourself. Now, this is not the same thing as learning from history. We should learn from history. We should understand what happened in the past in order to go into the future. But just because it hasn't happened, or because someone doesn't look like you, who's in a certain capacity, who has a certain job, who has a certain career, just because you've never seen them, doesn't mean it can't happen for you. That is the language of self-check. So let's turn that around. Let's go against the language of self-check. That language sounds like this. You're presented with an opportunity, and before you say, I can't, you say, I can. And I want to. And I will. Now, it may not be easy. I'm not telling you that, everything you undertake will be easy. It's not. Anything worthwhile is going to take work. The bridge between desire and success is discipline and commitment. Are you willing to do what it takes to achieve your goal? And that's a serious question. And you have to ask yourself that, because if you're not, then you're probably wasting your time. But if you are, if you know that you want more, that there is more in you, there's more that you can accomplish, there's more meant for your life, then say you can. You can stop there, because what happens next is where we countermand ourselves. We say, but how? The how is not important. The fact that you've committed to a goal is the only important part. Everything else we can find out. John Maxwell says, jump, and find your wings on the way down. And there are other adages that go along with that. Do it scared. Fear is a natural part of who we are as human beings. So you can't avoid it. And it's not that you will never be fearful again. But it is what you do with that fear to conquer that fear. What are you going to do? Are you going to let it stop you? You say, I'm afraid, and that's the end of the story. There are lots of people in history that have done that. And guess what? You've never heard their names, because they didn't take that step. We are here today to take that next step, to conquer your fears, to make sure that you can achieve, to make sure that you can win. So what I want you to understand, if nothing else, all those things you've been told, that you were not good enough, that you weren't smart enough, you weren't educated enough, you did not go to the right school. There are a litany of things that you are told. It doesn't matter. in one of my books, I say, write all those things down that stop you from taking that next step. Write them down. Look at them. Face them. Then below it, write down, I can't. Put the piece of paper down. Walk away from it. Now, what I want you to observe is, did that piece of paper stop you from walking away? Did that piece of paper, did that word on that page, I can't, stop you from accomplishing anything in your life? Did it physically grab you and hold you hostage? No, it didn't. And it never will. It is that mental barrier that we have to take. And all it is retraining. So we're going to retrain your mind to think, I can before I can't. When people tell you you shouldn't, you can't, I want you to think, Dr. Ramsey said, in spite of all that, in spite of the fact that I was maybe not born into the best circumstances, in spite of the fact that I might be poor, in spite of the fact that I might have made some mistakes in my life, in spite of all that, I can still win. And it's been proven time and time again. We look up to those people that have conquered this as heroes. And if you ask them, and I've had the privilege of interviewing some people who've gone through things of that nature, they always say they were scared. But which one are you afraid of more? Are you afraid of living with regrets? Or are you afraid of trying? I'm afraid of meeting my maker and not living my fullest life with the gifts that I have. You have gifts. You are unique. You were made for a special purpose. And our job here today is to make sure that you're living that purpose, that you realize that you're special, that you realize that you can accomplish. Sometimes you weren't meant to do certain things at certain times. There's 3 answers that you get: delayed, detoured, sometimes denied. We have to change our perspective about how we look at those things. When we look at denial, it may be saving us from some hurt that we were going to experience, or actually steering us toward a direction where we're really supposed to be. My denial was, I wanted to be a lawyer. I am as far from a lawyer as you could possibly be, but I am living in my purpose and my gift, and I love it. And I want you to also. So remember, you are enough right now. You will not talk negatively about yourself as of this day. As of right now, you will not negatively advertise yourself. You are worthy of success. You are worthy of honor. So live that lifestyle starting today. So I want you to be encouraged, and I want you to enjoy the rest of the conference. And I'll be glad to answer any questions that you have. Again, thank you so much to the staff from Back from Broken. And rather than say Back from Broken, I'm just saying you're back and welcome. Thank you very much. And it was a pleasure sharing time with you.
Dr. Ramsey, how you doing, sir?
Good morning. How are you?
Good, man. Listen, awesome presentation. And we've got some questions. I have some questions I want to ask you and get started. But you said something in your presentation, man, that really struck me. So I'm going to let you know now. I'm going to use it. And you know my rules. The first time, the first time that I use it, I'm going to give you credit, right? The second time I use it, I'm going to say you and I was talking. The third time I use it, it dropped in my spirit. But you said something that I thought was very key. You said success is rented, and now the rent is due. What do you mean by that?
So what I mean is that, we have to do things daily. You know, our strive and our goals, and when we're trying to achieve things, it doesn't happen just because today I decided, okay, I'm going to be encouraged today and I'm going to be successful today. I'm going to do those things that I need for success just today, and it's going to take me the rest of my career or the rest of my life. It just doesn't work like that.
Right.
It is a daily grind, you know, and that's where the grind came from. It's a daily renewal of spirit. Is a daily encouragement of not only encouraging yourself, but encouraging somebody else daily. You need to feed into somebody daily. And if you don't feed into yourself first, you can't feed into someone else daily. So the rent is due daily. I mean, it's everyday work, it's everyday encouragement, it's everyday hustle, it's everyday grind. So people have to just realize that, you know, every day is a new day to excel.
Yeah. No. That's awesome. You know, the next question I want to ask you is, you know, what are some of the barriers to success for the majority of people out there? What's keeping them from being successful? What's your opinion on that?
Basically, you know, it's the man in the mirror, man or woman in the mirror. That people stop themselves every day, and what they're putting it on is the guise of fear. Because we stop doing things because we're afraid or what might happen or what possibly might happen. And we never take that first step to try to achieve anything. So we stop ourselves far more than, you know, we talk about societal images and institutions. We talk about institutional racism. We talk about a whole bunch of things. But my question is, did we even try first? And once we try, then we can see, okay, well, what came up against me? And I'll get around that. I'll deal with that problem. But we have to make that first step to try.
Awesome. You know, my next question is, you know, when it, you know, negative self-talk, right? And all of us do it. All of us have been guilty of it. I'm as positive things that we can do to help us to refrain for such things as, you know, when it comes to negative self-talk.
One, you have to realize that, you know, we do it. Just like you just said, is that it's a natural part of our DNA. It's a natural part of our upbringing, that, you know, we were trained kind of to think of the negative before we think of the positive. So this is a retraining of our brain. This is a retraining of how we look at ourselves. And again, it starts daily and it starts small. So when first of all, you have to realize that you're doing that negative self-advertisement. Once you realize it, you say, oh, you know what? We're not going to do that anymore. Let me combat that with something positive. Let me try to say something positive about myself. And you'd be surprised that if you start saying positive things to and about other people, it's so much easier sometimes to say it about yourself.
Wow. And you know, when we talk about, because I want to stay on this subject just a moment, when we talk about negative self-talk, you know, how is it that negative self-talk really, how does it impact a person who's constantly talking negative and never really talking positive?
You know, there's so many of us that do that and do it for years. So one effect it does have is that it tarnishes your self-image. It eats at you daily. I mean, there are things that, one thing I always say is that, you know, everybody says things happen because the devil is there. The devil did this, the devil did that. I was like, well, the devil ain't bothering you because you talk so negatively about yourself that he doesn't have to bother with you. You know, you have already defeated yourself. And what it does, it affects you physically, it affects you mentally, it affects your positivity, it affects all your accomplishments, because you don't feel as though that you're enough or that you can accomplish things just by being you. You don't appreciate your uniqueness. And it, like I said, I like to talk in logical terms. Logical terms is that unless you're a twin, look around and everyone in the world looks different. So do you think we're unique for a reason? We are obviously unique for a reason. So instead of looking in comparing yourself to someone else, start looking at how you're unique, how you're special, and making sure those come out.
Yeah. You know, another question that's come up is, you know, how would you say to someone, or what would you say to someone who's having a lot of doubts about themselves and really breaking out of a cycle, you know, of just being in a place of, like I like to call it, mediocrity, right? So what would you say to that?
So one thing is that continuous encouragement for yourself. The other thing is you need to surround yourself again by people who are going in your direction. We have to have our tribe. We have to have our support group. We have to have our fellowship for like-minded people who are trying to do positive things. That helps because sometimes you can't tell yourself all those positive things all the time. Sometimes you need someone else to reflect that to you and say, look, you're doing well. You know, we had a little misstep. Let's get back on it. Let's encourage each other. So not only do you have to encourage yourself, you have to surround yourself with a village that is going to support you and press you to want you to be your best version of yourself.
Yeah, man, that's good. Good. And, you know, you just said something key, too, that I want today. You know, the importance of having the right tribe around you, right? So how would you pick the right tribe? What is some the right tribe?
So for me, my tribe along with loyalty. Some of them are people that I went to undergrad with that were with me before there was what society would call any kind of modicum of success. So, you know, they're my down, they're my ace boom coons. They're the people I know that, you know, it doesn't matter what you have, what you don't have. They've been there through everything. They've been there through trials, tribulations, kids, divorces, whatever it was, they were always there. So those are some of the people that you need to surround yourself with. You also need to surround yourself by some people who are doing the things that you want to do but haven't done yet. It's okay to be around. If you want to be a multimillionaire, you know, and, you know, we can talk about that on another. You need to know a couple or surround yourself with some people who are doing that because their mindset is different. It's not the part about the money. It's not the part about the success, but they just think differently and they execute differently. And that's where you have to look at yourself and say, okay, maybe I need to do something different in my life to get different accomplishments and different goals achieved.
Wow. 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 You brought a lot of clarity to us in terms of really how we need to look at ourselves, our tribe, how we should look at success in terms of, you know, just life in itself. You know, I always say that, you know, success is something I used to say success is something you shouldn't rent, but you should own it. Since the fact that success is rented and now the rent is due. So any parting words, man, any thoughts that you want to leave our audience and our Back from Broken members with?
Yes, thank you. One, I wanted to say thank you for joining the Back from Broken Nation. You know, I think this is such a valuable tool. I think it's a valuable interaction. Stay around for all the speakers because you are going to be encouraged. Someone is going to say exactly what you need to hear. They're going to be on your street talking to you. And what I want you to understand is that, you know, in spite of, make sure that you are winning. It's been my pleasure to be here. I can be reached in social media. And, you know, I'm the only Dr. Ramsu in the nation, so I'm pretty easy to find. So thank you for inviting me, and it's been my pleasure.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Ramsu, thank you so much for your participation in the Back from Broken platform and what we're doing on here today. You've added some tremendous value and some content that all of us can use immediately. That's the thing I love about what you shared today, was that we can start using it right now. We don't have to wait till information that you've given us. So we're super, super excited about that, man. So thank you so much for join a few moments.
Have you ever had a time in your life where
Absolutely everything was falling apart. I mean, you just could not catch a break. Or wait, have you ever experienced a situation that was so messed up that you knew you had to do something that you'd never done before, something or deal with something you've never dealt with before? And the idea of it was so big, so hairy, so bodacious, you didn't know if you would even be able to get through it. Now, I imagine you've been through something like that. And my question to you is this: having been through all of that, did you survive? And I know the answer is yes. I know that you survived because you're still here. That means you have survived disappointments. You've survived frustration, setbacks. You have survived obstacles and unexpected challenges, and you've survived all of that well before 2020. And you survived 2020 as well. And that tells me something about you. It tells me that you are resilient. It tells me that you are strong, that you are tenacious, that you are resourceful, that you have the ability to come back from heartache, to come back from challenges, to come back from broken. You already have resiliency in your toolbox. Hi, my name is Star Babatune, and I am a presentation and storytelling coach. Talented speakers come to me when they struggle to get enough leads or make enough money when they talk. And I take my 30 years of experience on stages to help them, to train them, to give dynamic performances on every stage they take, every time they speak, so they can sell the programs that they have and, more importantly, make the impact that they want to make in the world. And before I became a storytelling and presentation coach, I had some experiences that showed me what resilience was all about. So I was working as a secretary in a law firm in downtown Los Angeles. My husband and I, we had just bought our first house. Oh my gosh, we were so excited. And I gotta tell you, it was a dog of a house. I mean, it was a 1-bedroom cottage. It was just awful, but it didn't matter. It didn't matter because we were young and in love and because we had plans. See, the plan was to take off the roof and add a second story. You know, we needed the extra rooms upstairs for the children we were gonna have, one day. And I'm telling you, we absolutely loved going over those plans. Well, anyway, so the first step in the plan was to take off the roof. Now, I just want to remind you that this is in beautiful, sunny Southern California, where the weather is always a picture perfect 72 degrees. I take the roof off the house, and what do you think happens? I know, you're thinking that it rained. And I gotta tell you, no, it didn't rain. It monsooned. I mean, the rain poured into our unprotected house for 3 days. The house was completely ruined, and we were devastated. And when we confronted the contractor, he took absolutely no responsibility for the damage. So we fired him on the spot, and that may have felt good, but it didn't change the fact that every dime we had in the world was invested in this house. And this wasn't just an investment. This wasn't just a house. This was our home. This was our future. And it was gone. And my husband and I and our dog, we were relatively homeless, sleeping on floors and couches of friends for months. And just when we thought it could not possibly get worse, what do you think happened? Yeah, it got worse. The contractor, the one who took no responsibility for the damage, sued us for completion of project. He wanted the rest of the money for the project, even though he ruined our house. So let's just take some inventory, shall we? Just a little inventory. So let's see. We are penniless, we are homeless, and now we're being sued. I'm telling you, when it rains, it pours. But I tell you this, I had one good thing going for me, and that is that I worked in a law a law firm. I work for a partner, in fact, and Tom and I had been working together really well for about 3 years. So we had a pretty good relationship, or so I thought. Anyway, I go to Tom to ask for help. Now, I'm expecting that Tom is going to give me the phone number of an attorney who can, help me out and take my case. Or better yet, I'm hoping that Tom will take the case himself. Wouldn't that be great? All right. So that's what I'm expecting. But that is not what happened. Instead, Tom walks me down the hall into the law library. He tells me to read a book, write a memo, and handle the case myself. I looked at him like he was out of his mind. I mean, have you met me? I was a legal secretary. I had a 2-year degree from community college in photography. I mean, I had beautiful pictures of the house, but to go up against a seasoned attorney who had a college degree, a law degree, and 10 years experience, there's no way I can do that. And I just remember thinking about everything that I had been through, all the plans and the dreams that we had for our house, for our family. It just seemed that they were ruined. And I felt defeated. I felt broken. And so I did what any mature professional woman would do at this time. I cried. I did. But look, you know what that's like. I mean, come on, you've been there. You've been in that situation where you make plans, you expect things to go a certain way, and then they don't. And then you adjust, but things keep going wrong. And that's exactly where I was. I was riding the fence between fear and faith, right? I'm trying to keep positive. I'm trying to keep moving, keeping that positive outlook, but things just kept going wrong. And right at that time, with me in tears, Tom, he comes over, he puts his hand on my shoulder, he looks me in the eye and he says, I believe in you. I believe you can do this. And so I found myself in a very interesting place. Everything in my life was falling apart, turned upside down. Every time I tried to make an adjustment, things kept going wrong. And I had to decide whether I was going to give up, wave the white flag, just surrender, or do this other thing, this big, hairy, bodacious thing that I had never imagined doing before. It was one of those defining moments. And you know what? Right now, you might be finding yourself in that exact situation, or you might face it in the future. And here's the deal. I want to give you 3 keys to resilience, right? You already have resiliency in your toolbox, but I want to give you 3 additional keys to resilience, 3 hacks for your life, 3 tools to assist you in overcoming adversity and coming back from broken and facing the future with confidence. And they are: decide, believe, take action. I need you to say it out loud with me. Decide, believe, take action. Excellent. I know you did it. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to decide, right? Webster defines a decision as determining the outcome, meaning you have the power to determine the outcome or influence the outcome of your decision by what you decide. If you decide that it's going to conquer you, well, then it probably will. If you decide that you're going to fail, then you probably will. If, on the other hand, you decide that it's not going to get the best of you, then it probably won't. You can influence the outcome of your situation by what you decide. My suggestion: decide that the situation you're going through is not going to get the best of you. You are going to get the best of it. So the next step is to believe. You have to believe that you have within you everything you need to get through this situation. You have the power, the capacity, the ability to take this on and to emerge a victor and not a victim. Bruce Barton said that nothing splendid has ever been achieved except by those who dared to believe that something inside of them was superior to their circumstances. So you must believe that you have something inside of you that is greater than the circumstances you face. You've got to believe. And the third step is to take action. And while deciding and believing are important, look, the end of the day, the only thing that really matters is taking action. Nothing happens if you don't take action. Now I understand that sometimes it's scary to take the first step, especially when the challenges, the obstacles, or the goals seem so big, hairy, and bodacious. But here's the key. You don't have to eat the whole elephant at once. That's right, you don't. How do you eat an elephant? Eat an elephant one bite at a time. Okay, so time management guru Brian Tracy acknowledges that when facing a new or difficult challenge, it can seem overwhelming, and usually it's enough to stop a person in their tracks. But the best way to achieve the goals that you set for yourself is to break them down into smaller pieces and take them one step at a time. He says, your ability to endure, to continue taking action step by step in the direction of your dreams, this is what will assure your success. So you absolutely have to take action, but you can take action one step at a time. So if you take these 3 steps, use these 3 keys to resiliency, decide, believe, take action, you'll be surprised at what can happen. So let's go back to the library where I am in tears, right? So I'm at this crossroads where I have to make a choice, right? A choice that's going to determine the direction of my life. So what did I do? Well, the first thing I did was decide that this situation was not going to get the best of me, that I was going to get the best of it. I decided to accept the challenge. And so the next step was for me to believe in myself, to believe that I have everything inside of me to handle. You know what? That was really hard, because honestly, I did not believe that I could do it. But Les Brown says that sometimes you have to believe in someone else's belief in you until your own belief kicks in. And that's what I had to do. See, the partner believed in me. Remember, he put his hand on his shoulder and he looked me in the eye and he said he believed in me. And that was enough. That was enough for me to at least get going. I latched on to his belief until my own belief kicked in. And finally, I took action. But look, I didn't think about defending my whole case at one time, standing in front of a judge or a jury. But Tom didn't ask me to do that. He merely said, read a book, write a memo. I could do that. And so I did that as best as I could, and then moved on to the next step, and then to the next step. And what do you think happened? What do you think happened? I'll tell you what happened. I won the case. That's right. That's right. I blew it out of the water. Look, that attorney did not know what hit him. He totally underestimated me, wrote me off. He didn't know who he was. He didn't know who I was. But realistically, neither did I. But they say that adversity introduces a man or woman to themselves. And through that experience, I met myself, a part of myself that I didn't even know existed. Oh, but wait. Winning the case was fabulous, but it wasn't the best part. Do you want to know the best part? The best part is that I was so inspired by that experience that I went back to school, got my 4-year degree, went to law school, ended up working for one of the top firms in Los Angeles. And I am surprised and delighted that my life took this turn. You know, I'm delighted now for the challenge that was there, but I gotta tell you, in my darkest hours, I did not believe that anything good was going to come out of this. In my darkest hours, I had no idea I had it in me. Here I thought I was adding a second story to my house. You know what? I ended up adding a second story to my life. And right now, this is an interesting time, a tough time for many, or maybe a tough time for you. You might be confused, you might be worried, scared out of your wits. But I say this, all of this is just preparation for your new story, for the next level of your life, for the next level of you. So I've just told you how I applied those 3 tools: decide, believe, take action, to my life. And I want to share with you just a little more information about how you can apply them to your own life. Good? All right. So let's talk about decide. Motivational speaker Tony Robbins says that it is in your moments of decision that your destiny is shaped. It is in your moment of decision that your destiny is shaped. So when a new challenge arises, Robbins says to ask yourself 3 questions. What are you going to focus on? What does it mean? And what are you going to do? And the beauty is you get to decide the answers to all of these questions. You get to decide what you're going to focus on, what it means, and what you're going to do. Now, in my situation, I had a choice of what to focus on. You know, I could focus on my fears and my insecurities and my shortcomings. I mean, you know, I spent 6 years in junior college, 6 years in junior college to wind up with a 2-year degree. I was afraid that I couldn't handle it, afraid that I was going to fail. I could have focused on the fear. I could also focus on the problems. There were many of them, right? I was penniless. I was homeless. I was being sued. I mean, that's not the kind of situation that fills you with confidence. So I could have very well focused on my problems and let that stop me. I could have focused on my fears. I could have focused on my problems, but instead, I decided to focus on what was possible. I decided to focus on a solution, or the possibility of a solution. And when I did that, just doing that, it allowed me to calm down a little, right? It allowed me to calm down. So here's what I say to you: as you sit in this moment and whatever it is that you are facing, or whatever it is that is coming that you will face, I will ask you, what will you focus on? You know, will you focus on your fears? Will you focus on your problems? Or will you focus on the solutions, or at least the possibility of a solution? The next question is, what does it all mean? See, whenever we have a situation, we get to choose the meaning of the situation. Does it mean that all is lost, or does it mean that you just need to find another way? So here's what I learned in law school. In law school, I learned that there were 3 sides to every story. 3 sides. Now, you may have heard that there were 2 sides, but I'm here to tell you that there are 3 sides. Look, there is the plaintiff side, there is the defendant side, and there are the facts. But the only truth, the only thing that's real are the facts. Everything else is an interpretation of the facts, the meaning given to the facts. And each side is giving meaning to those facts. The plaintiff looks at the facts and says the facts mean this one thing. The defendant takes those same facts and decides that they mean something else. The only truth are the facts. The rest is merely interpretation. So when things don't go the way we plan for them to go, when those things, they seem like they go wrong, those are just facts. They may go left or right, but those are just facts. Whether they are good or bad actually is up to us. We decide the meaning that we give to those facts. All right. So the third question that Tony Robbins asks is, what are you going to do? And see, the choices that you've made in the first 2 questions are going to cue you up for this one, right? If you've decided to focus on the solution rather than the problem, if you've decided that the situation means maybe I need to think of another solution rather than I'm going to give up, just making those decisions opens up the door to countless opportunities. But these decisions and those opportunities are useless without some sort of action. So the question is, what are you going to do? What small action can you take? What is your next best move? Remember, it is in your moments of decision that your destiny is shaped. And so the next tool, the next key to resiliency is to believe. Now, Dr. Bruce Lipton has a book called The Biology of Belief, and he says that when you have an issue, And we're always focused on what's happening on the outside, but he says it's not the outside that is the problem. The problem or the situation we need to deal with is on the inside, what we believe. He says that what we believe determines our situation. It is what we believe that determines our results. And I told you earlier, I did not believe that I was capable of handling a lawsuit by myself because I had never done anything like that before. I didn't have that experience. I didn't have the education. Look, the only time I had ever been in a courtroom was in jury duty. That's all I knew. But Tom encouraged me to believe that I could do more than I knew I could do, right? And I say to you that you are more capable than you know. You have more abilities, powers, capacities than you can imagine. You have not even tapped into that yet, but it all starts with belief, a belief in what's possible, a belief in yourself. And at the end of the day, what is a belief? A belief is nothing more than a thought that we repeat over and over again. They can be positive thoughts, they can be negative thoughts, but we repeat these thoughts over and over again. We eventually believe these thoughts. We eventually live these thoughts. One of my mentors used to say all the time, the way we live our lives is based on what we believe about ourselves. It is a belief that is going to determine the way we live our lives. You know what? I remember my son was going into 6th grade. And he was nervous and anxious about it. And I said to him, baby, you are one of the smartest kids in 6th grade. And he said, no, I'm not. No, I'm not, Mom. You don't know that. But I insisted, hey, baby, you are one of the smartest kids in 6th grade. And I kept telling him that over and over again. Eventually, his response was, do you think so? And then his response became, I know. And by the end of 6th grade, his response was, well, of course I am. And he proved it by bringing home 7 A's. Look, I told him a story, a thought, and I repeated it over and over again. Eventually, that thought became a belief, and that belief became his reality. What thoughts are you telling yourself over and over again? When you hit those moments of challenges, what are you telling yourself? Look, if a belief is just a thought that we repeat over and over again, that means we get to change our beliefs. We get to change our realities by changing the things that we say to ourselves over and over again. So I invite you to start paying attention to what you are saying to yourself, and catch yourself when you are saying those limited beliefs. I'm never going to get through this. I'm not smart enough for this situation. Catch those thoughts and change them to a positive thought, one that you can repeat over and over again, because that belief will be what you live. All right. So the third step, of course, the third key is taking action. Deciding is wonderful. Believing is awesome. But when it's all said and done, you gotta take action, right? Now, sometimes people hesitate to take action because they don't have it all figured out, right? They don't know what is step 5. How can I take step 1 when I don't know what step 5 is? No. You know what? Sometimes you're going to be building the plane on the way, right? You don't know what step 5 is going to be until you get to step 4 and go, you know what? This is what I need at step 5. You create the staircase case as you go. All you got to focus on is your next step. What is the next best action you can take? Steve Gargill says that everything in life that is hard is merely a series of steps that are easy. You just have to take the first step. So when Tom suggested that I handle the case myself, I was terrified. As I thought about standing in front of a judge and a jury defending my case, nah, that was way too much. But look, Tom didn't ask me to do that. Not at first. The first thing Tom said was what? Read a book, write a memo. And the book was, how to write a legal memo. Great. Read the book, write the memo. That is all he asked me to do. Heck, I knew how to read and write, right? So I just focused on that one step. If I had to focus on the big, hairy end goal, I don't know that I would have taken any action because it would have been too scary. So I focused on the first step. And once I did that, he told me what to do next. When the big hairy goal was broken down into steps that I could take, steps that kept me moving forward, in the end, I accomplished the big, hairy, bodacious goal. Everything in life that is hard is just a series of steps that are easy. You just have to take the first step. So, when you are beset with challenges and obstacles, when you encounter these setbacks, when you are ready to come back from broken, you have to do three things. You have to decide, you have to believe, you have to take action. In order to build this second story in my house, I thought I was building a second story to my house, but you know, I ran through all of these challenges. It was messy, it was dirty, but having gone through that, I was able to add a second story to my life. I was able to change my entire life, not just a second story to my house, but a different story to my life, right? And my life just ended up in a better place. I ended up a better person, and I tripled my income, you know, which is not a bad thing considering. And these are the same three keys that have led me to where I am today as a presentation and storytelling coach, where I train talented speakers to give dynamic performances on every stage they take every time they speak, so they can consistently fill their programs and make the impact that they are here to make. So if you are a speaker, a coach, or a business owner, and you want to make more money and you want to make more income every time you speak, I am giving away 10 star speaker strategy sessions. 10 star speaker strategy sessions. How do you get those sessions? Here's what you do. You connect with me. You can connect with me at timewithstar.com. timewithstar.com, or connect with me at starbabatoon.com, star@starbabatoon.com. Look, as we face the future, we will no doubt have some messy, dirty, challenging moments, but you are prepared with these three keys: decide, believe, take action. Decide that whatever situation you face, it will not get the best of you, that you will get the best of the situation, or better yet, that it will bring out the best in you. Believe that you have the power, the capacity, the ability to handle whatever comes your way, and take action. Take action toward your big, hairy solutions, one step at a time. My name is Star Babatoon. I invite you to embrace your inner light and to be the star that you were born to be. See you next time.
Wow, that was amazing. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
That's helpful.
Yeah. That was amazing, Star. I mean, you just killed it up there.
I appreciate that, Sean. I appreciate that.
Awesome. So I got a question for you. I got a couple of them. The first one is, how did you go from being an attorney to a speaker?
Yeah. People ask me that question a lot because I tell the story about all that I went through to become an attorney. What happened? Well, here's the deal. I practiced law for about 10 years. But the thing is that I started out on stage as an actress, and television and limousines and celebrity parties. This was my life when I started out as a young person, but I got to a point where it seemed like there was a lot of trauma or drama going on inside my house. And so I figured that it was my fault because I'm a young person. I'm 17, 18 years old, and I just give it up. I walk away. I walk away from the stage. That's it. I'm never going to be in the spotlight, never going to be on the stage again. And so I went on with my life. And I'm working as an attorney, but I'm having this feeling. You know what I mean? I'm having this feeling that I should be doing something more, something different, like I'm not fulfilling my destiny. But I was afraid. I was afraid to make a move. And, there's a saying that when you're afraid to make a move in your life, life will move on you. And life moved on me. my marriage went away, my job went away, my son got sick, and I was in this just really bad place. A friend of mine invited me to a seminar, right, with all of these amazing speakers. And when I watched those speakers, Sean, that's when I was like, you know what? That's what I want to do. And I'm telling you, it is not until then that I realized or remember that I used to be on the stage. And then Les Brown walked up on the stage, and I'm like, and I want to be that kind of speaker. And I end up following him, working with him. I actually worked with him and for him, traveled with him, spoke with him, and I ran his speaker training program. And so how did I get from being an attorney to being a speaker? It was easy. You know, my life fell apart, right? How did I get to be an attorney? My life fell apart. Well, when my life fell apart again, I ended up here where I think I belonged all the time.
Yeah, it's really amazing when life happens for you, not to you, right?
Absolutely. And and I think I've been through enough trials and tribulations that when it goes south, I'm like, okay, something's good happening. Something's gonna happen, right? Because it's always happened good before. I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna have faith. So absolutely.
Yep, that's it. You just gotta have faith. I got another question here for you. What does it take to give a great presentation? Because that was an amazing presentation. You killed it up there, man. I mean, I'm envious of what you just did because I aspire to be as good as you.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And, I have a lot of experience on stages, as a young person. I mean, from the time I was 6 years old, I've been on stages. And it's not just the stages that I've been on, it's the dance classes, right? It's the ballet and the modern and the jazz dance classes. It's the scene study. It's the drama classes, right? It is the singing classes. They didn't take too well, just for information, right? But there are all these classes that I took, for decades. This was what I was doing, preparing myself to be on stage. And so that is the background. But what I like to tell people is to give them three things to consider in being the speaker that you want to be. And the first thing is to be intentional, right? To be intentional. There are too many times, all right, people jump on a stage, they just start talking, and they have no idea, where they want to go. They don't know their message. They don't know who their audience is, and they're not clear on their purpose. The problem is they don't have a map. Message, audience, purpose. You gotta have a map. You gotta know what's going on. So that's like the first thing. What is your message? Be clear on that. I do one-on-one coaching sessions, story sessions with people. And that's one of the first questions I ask, right? And they're excited because they paid all this money and they're going to have this, I'm going to fix their story. And they're like, yeah, Star, bring it. And I ask the first question, what's your message? And they're like, right? I ask, what's your purpose? And then we stumble, but that's all right. Once you get that, once you have your map, then, you have a clear road to what you want to do. And the second thing is you got to be organized. You got to be organized in how you make your presentation, how you present your story. And I like to use this simple framework for a story, simple framework for a presentation. Here it goes. You ready? Once upon a time, then one day, and now. That's it. Once upon a time, then one day, and now. That's how you tell a story. It seems simple. I know it's like a fairy tale because that's how the fairy tales go. But there's a lot of people, a lot of speakers are not putting that structure together. And it's the same thing in your presentation. You got to have a beginning, you got to have a middle, you got to have an end. Where are we going with this presentation? And so if you get that, you're doing well. You're being intentional, right? You are being organized. And the last thing that I would say is that you got to be engaging. You got to be engaging. Like I said, I've got 30 years of experience on stage. I like to bring the drama. And some people don't do that. Here's what I call it. I call it authentic performance. Now, you might think that's an oxymoron, right? How can you be authentic if you're putting on a performance? You are performing to the best of your ability. You're performing the best of yourself, but you gotta bring the performance, meaning you got to bring some, your tone has to go up and down. You've got to bring me some drama, bring me some sadness, make me laugh, that sort of thing. All of that has to come into it. And you've got to tell stories. You've got to tell stories because stories are like one of the major keys to engagement. My mentor once told me, and Ed and I have the same mentor. He basically said, you never tell a story without a point. You never make a point without a story. So you got to bring the story that adds to your engagement. So those are the three things that I would say for any speaker, whether you are beginning or whether you are, more experienced, just bring that in mind, bear that in mind, be intentional, right? Be organized and be engaging. So those would be my 3 tips for speakers.
That's amazing. Joseph, go ahead and unmute yourself. It's not letting me do it. We are at the point where we need to go ahead and take a break. That was so amazing. And that was great advice as well. And do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I wanted to jump in here and get a little bit of this star power here. So Star, man, you are amazing, amazing, amazing. One of the questions I wanted to ask you was, what is the best advice that you can give a new speaker, somebody who's just jumping on the scene, want to get involved? What is the best advice you could give them?
The best advice that I could give them is to do it. All right, I'm gonna calm down. The best advice that I can say is get out there and do it. Get out there and do it. I told you that I started out as an actress and then I sort of put that aside and became an attorney and did all these other things. Here's what I did. I took my gifts, I took my talents, I put them in a box and I put them on a shelf because I was not willing to share them with the world. So wherever you are as a speaker, whatever it is you do, whatever it is you have to share, do it. Start now. Sharing what you have right now is powerful and it's worthy. Do not hide it. Do not deny it. Do not wait. Get out there and start speaking.
Okay, and let me do a follow-up question real quick. What is the best lesson that you've learned as a speaker?
The best lesson that I learned as a speaker. Here's the deal. It was my first day on the job as a paid trainer, right? Very excited to be there. And, but it was a disaster. It was an absolute nightmare. Look, the people hated me. They didn't understand what I was talking about. They didn't see me as a credible expert. They challenged everything I said, peppered me with questions. And when I tried to bluff answers, they threw Google in my face. It was humiliating. Those people left there angry and demanding refunds. And I just knew I was about to be fired. Did I mention it was my first day?
Right.
I am convinced I'm going to be fired. But here's what I also knew. I also knew that it was my fault because I didn't do the work.
Wow.
I didn't prepare. I mean, I'm an actress. Come on. I've got 20 years experience on stage. I got this. I trained with Les Brown. Come on. I ran his speaker training program. I got this. And plus, I'm an attorney. This is a legal topic. I got this. But what I realized is without putting in the work, I didn't have it. And so that was the greatest lesson that I've learned. No matter how advanced you are, no matter how much information you are, no matter how smart you think you are, you still got to do the work.
Yeah.
You got to do the work.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, you are an amazing woman, a speaker. I enjoy listening to you. I love your insight. I love the direction that you give us as speakers. I've learned so much from you, as a speaker, and I've been doing this about 25 years on stage once I was able to overcome my speech impediment and my stutter. But I've learned so much from you in terms of how to start. What's the middle look like? how do you bring this, this plane and land it safely? And so, I personally want to say thank you for your expertise, your gentleness, your professionalism. Thank you for being a part of this Back from Broken stage. And I just believe the best is yet to come for you, Star. You are definitely a star, young lady. Back to you, Sean.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I really appreciate you coming and sharing and blessing us with your, sprinkling us with your game and everything that you got going on there, man. Like I said, you're an inspiration. Not only are you an attorney, but you're an amazing speaker. So I really want to say thank you from the Back from Broken team and the rest of the speakers. I'm sure we can all agree to that.
Well, I say this has been an amazing summit so far, and I know that there are a lot of great speakers, a lot of great content coming. I'm glad to be a part of this.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we're going to try to get back on track here and get on schedule since we started off a little bit late. So we're going to go ahead and switch the stream now and get to the next one, and then we will be back ready to roll at 11 a.m. And our next speaker will be Jessica Ingram. So we're going to go ahead and exit this and come right back in. All right. Thank you, Star. Really appreciate it.
All right. Take care.
And Joseph, go ahead and do the same thing. Get back into the next one.
Okay.
All right.